All right,
Okay.
do we know what questions that we had for fire?
Let me see. We had one question from last night, and under TIP, there was a fire truck payment for the lease. And we asked her what fire truck that was, and she didn't know.
Fire truck for a lease. We have no fire truck on lease. Unless they. The emblems is locked, that's the only thing that I know of.
Well, that's what she had in the TIP budget, is the fire truck lease for 15,000. So there is no fire truck on lease.
Not that I know of, not since I,
And so would the ambulance qualify for the TIP?
no.
So we can direct her or ask the town manager to have that taken out of the TIP budget?
Well,
He'd like some money. And then for a while, the children.
Or is she saving money for a fire truck and it's
No,
not a lease?
It's in last year.
I will check. I will check when I believe they purchased. Truck that, the used truck that we purchased. A year ago, I think they paid.
I think I sent a message to the manager to ask you.
I can ask Melissa tomorrow. I have not been asked, I can find out from Melissa.
Melissa?
No, he means Ruby.
Oh.
You're talking about for Tim?
Yeah,
Yeah, they're in Ruby.
Well, she didn't know what it was,
Yeah.
so I don't think you're gonna get any answer.
Yeah, he didn't know what fire, we want to know what number. it was.
I've never talked TIF since I've been here, but it may have.
Mr. Schaefer, can you find out if we can take that 15,000 out of the TIP budget if it's not directed to a specific fire truck lease?
More and more. Line beautiful. Okay. Yep. Taken out of the budget for the fire department, correct? For the truck
Correct.
there.
Well, that's out of the TIF budget, right?
That's-
The TIF budget.
Okay, so it's
But-
not on your.
No, it's not on mine.
Or do we know which truck it is? Did it occur before the last guy?
I'm not aware of any of these that we've ever done. Fire truck, so.
It was a surprising thing when we read it, so
Okay,
thank you.
yes.
So I think one of the other questions we had left is whether you could give us a percentage of revenue coming from like if I can help Dave, I think we were trying to figure out what percentage of revenue that was billed that was
We're around 40% of the revenues from what we bill.
so we collect only 40%.
We cut 40%. For Medicare, Middle,
The biggest portion of that is adjustments, not
that's right,
bad debt.
that's
It's
right.
adjustments, so what the insurances are paying. So if you charge 2,000, they're only paying 500. You can't write off like the 1,500 is bad debt because you can only charge 500. So
it's
it doesn't matter
not
what the cost is.
considered bad debt, it's just an adjustment to the
Yeah.
bill.
Bad debt is when they don't actually pay. So that 500 you send out and then they don't pay that, that's bad debt.
Is that percentage consistent with some of the other fire departments and what they're doing?
That's what I've been told. I believe David had found different numbers, but what I've been told by the other fire chiefs, that's consistent with what they're getting, but. But then you find that some of the other towns are getting a bigger percentage of their revenue. Okay, all right, I apologize.
Central Highlands. More per person than service.
All right,
Typically, all those are negotiated with, the main carrier, there's no negotiation, but insurance companies you
Insurance.
negotiate, so if it's Eastern Maine doing the collection, they're gonna whatever,
they're going for everything they can get because they get a profit too.
yeah. But I mean, you only get what the insurance company pays, so I mean, it's very difficult to get the insurance companies to start paying more money, so.
You got a new copy of, the department budget after Dennis made the corrections on some of these things?
I got the new one on the vehicle maintenance,
And those are all the
That's
current
correct.
vehicles that you have in the department.
that's correct. And if it's everyone got a copy of those, I brought a copy, you don't.
And the condition of each of the vehicles is exactly what you've got there. So what do you intend to put in a capital budget for? What is the vehicle that's the worst that you're trying to
I-
replace?
I believe that was recommendation of. From this committee was. The recommendation of put money into reserve, was it? Yes,
So for which vehicle are we talking about?
They need to replace sometime in your future two vehicles. And possibly a third. They're the ones that are.
The ones that are in
poor condition.
poor
One-
condition?
One's questionable. And I suggested that we. Allocate $175,000 in the pending fiscal budget. Towards the purchase of those three vehicles.
Okay, we made that recommendation under their capital account.
It went in, I believe it went into the general cap.
Yeah, because I don't think we took up his capital account when he was here.
I think it was Byron. Mr. Sanderson found in the capital account, very back of the book. A line item for vehicles. That's been used in the past. He said that's. In the 0900 capital improvements account. There has been a line 0360 for fire vehicle replacement.
That's what I was looking for. I think that was in the current budget. Yeah, it's in the current budget that we got, the July to April budget sheet. That number is in there for a fire truck reserve. I think we had asked what was in the balance in that account, but
175,000.
No, that doesn't sound right.
no,
He's got it, there's a note in here, that's what I'm going by, sorry.
that's what they recommend,
that's.
that was.
Okay. Okay.
We add to that account, $175,000. Pending fiscal year.
There was nothing in there, okay, there was nothing in there, there's zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
There's zero in it, so we're adding new starting this year.
Yeah.
Okay. As I recall, those were, I think, the only questions that I can remember that were pending for fire.
Kind of like to go back and revisit, we had discussed the minimum amount of people on duty.
Yeah.
I think currently we have 5,
That's correct,
and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but you mentioned that was minimum for the National Fire Code, National Fire.
we have been led to believe, final, that we need 2 in and 2 out. And we always thought if it was 2 in, 2 out, then it's nice to have a pump operator. But I guess it's down how you read because. We've been told to us that that's not true, but that's what we've always lived by. 2 in, 2 out, and a pump operator,
What does
Thanks.
Howland do,
they're the same,
maybe 2 in, 2 out, 1 pop up on it?
You know what Bucksport does?
I do not know, no.
Doesn't Rockport do 2 in, 2 out, and 1?
I'm not sure what anybody else does, I know
I
that,
think Dave Layton mentioned it
Yeah.
to me, that he was talking about
Yes.
volunteering. for that.
yes,
I believe if you go on the Bucksport website, you'll find about it. They have 4.
Yeah.
Chief and 3 firefighters.
and you have. Call departments that don't have any, I mean.
And Bucksport service area is larger than ours. They have 8,000 people.
They also have other companies that can come quicker and faster, closer. They got Belfast close to them, they got Bangor,
Belfast is quite a haul. I know,
20 minutes,
how many?
20. I grew up in Belfast, that's not out of you.
Howland is as close as that. Mattawampig is as close as that.
How many people have met at one pig?
Lee is as close as that.
They aren't fully staffed though, I think.
I'm just telling you, but there are 3 fire departments within 20 minutes of one.
But Belfast is fully staffed and Bangor is fully staffed, Hamden's fully staffed, Herman's fully staffed. Isn't Mattawampig and Lee, aren't they volunteers?
Bangor is how far from Bucksport?
20 minutes.
Bangor
All
is?
I,
I don't think so.
all I can say is today, we was called to 2 fires, and the station was completely empty. Was completely empty, and we had 2 ambulance runs during that same period of time, and we were struggling, people taking people off, so that's, we make it work, but it's,
So essentially, if there had been like a bad accident down here, you would have had, they would have had to wait for someone from Howland to come on
Howland,
or.
do another phone and get people to come in.
Les, how long have we had fun?
We've had 5 since we took over the ambulance. When we started the ambulance service, we went to 4, then we went to 5 2 years ago.
3 years ago.
Spoke to one of the firemen a week or so ago. And expressed concern that 4 will be putting them into a lot more danger. I'm just wondering how much of it is. I mean, obviously, it's a lot more convenient, have more people faster and more efficient, but what's the danger aspect there?
What you gotta do is, right now, if we have an ambulance run, if we have an ambulance call to go out, we take 2 people out of the 5. That leaves us 3. Then if we have a structure fire, that cuts us back to 3 right then. So we're already 2 behind, or 1 behind, however you want to look at it. So, like today, we had 2 ambulance runs back to back. And there was a point in time where there was a 1 at the station. And 2 people come in for the house. But that's not 24 hours a day. This one is an emergency. And that's what we find. We find we're shorthanded a lot with 5, man.
But this one you're pulling 2, you can have 4 people pick people up. You're pulling 2 to go in one month.
When we go to pick people up, that's correct. We take a fire truck and we take an ambulance to pick people up. But when we take 4 people, there's 2 people that can leave with a fire truck if another call comes in.
So that's what that razor do. Because if still those 2 people stay in that, the piece of equipment can pick up a truck. Yeah, that's why we're suggesting get them. So that keep those 2 people, the fire people with the fire people.
What do you recommend?
It was a lift, and he said the razor, it was about as helping to lift people up. People on the ground, 90 pounds, one in choke, it picks up 330 pounds. If you got more than that, you need people to help with the 400 pounds, and you need to help with the other 70 pounds. Initially, that's the hard part when you initially start. It's all the pieces. If you take a look at it, quite good. $5,500. It's been around for a while. You can't imagine, you've got the personnel back, but it's not gonna be a safety issue for them. It's probably putting liability on the town, when they don't get hurt. We've got the staff below. No, this is, This is to
I know,
take the
I'm
person
watching
into
fire.
the,
Go to fire.
Well, this is a big pitch up into the ambulance,
no, this picks a person off the floor into a chair.
okay,
Now from the chair, you got them up off the floor, now you get them into the gurney. Then you got them off the.
how big is this piece of equipment?
It comes in a bag, it's a triangle, so when you got the bent knees, the triangle goes in there, then you flick in the legs, you flick in the floor legs. Then you click
So
in two half sides, you press the button, and the legs just come towards each other and it raises in the chair, just like this. And this is where the person,
So we just bought a lip assist mat that worked really well, that we've been using lately, but it's still. You need people,
But one of these pieces of equipment might be well worth, getting some grant money from MMA for workers' comp things, because they do try to help purchase things
Yes,
to
they do.
alleviate workers' comp issues, so this might be one of those eligible purchases from their safety program.
I would actually suggest that the senior living facilities be encouraged to have those on the premises.
This, Rick, how much area does it need to turn and can it get into a bathroom around the toilet? and stuff like
it's
that?
when what the person's laying down in the back, that's the area, you use less area.
Well, what if they can't get on their back? What if it's
They're-
like in a small, little like a mobile home?
So they're not falling down
Well, they fell off the toilet and they're stuck between the toilet and the wall. And they're on their side.
on the
They
side,
can't move, they're incapacitated.
then you have to drag them out of that space irregardless. Get them out. The problem was this 400 pounders that they can't lift on the gurney, that's what I'm saying, not weird
Okay.
situations. Yeah.
And for clarity's sake, most of the lift assists occur between roughly 6 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock at night.
I think you're right about pushing the, senior living center to become more responsible for their own situation.
And thank you. And again, the proposal to have only 4 people on duty is between roughly 6:30 at night and 6:30 in the morning. There's always the option to call in backup support,
So how much
And-
money do you save if you always have people on call?
probably around $200,000 a year, and that's allowing for $50,000 in additional overtime.
I just don't, I don't see this,
No.
we've done this before where we
Right.
cut positions and the overtime has gone up more than the.
And I heard earlier in the budget session that we've also been in the position that when we add people, we increase overtime.
I haven't seen where we've added
Fire
people.
department, right, with everything going on in the state.
I just like, so if you went to 4 and then you have to call people in, you're gonna send a call to 5 people. They all come in, they're all getting paid at, could be overtime rates at
By the
4
union
hours,
contract,
4
yeah.
hours guaranteed.
No, they're 2 for fire, 3 for EMS.
Two,
So you'd be paying,
2 hours.
if 3 EMS is 3,
And-
so.
And my $50,000 is based on a 12. When a backup shows up, they stay for 12 hours. So I'm grossly overestimating the necessary overtime. And again, once a week, on average, we have, I'm gonna call them back-to-back calls. So, and that means that the second call comes in within 2 hours of the first call. Once a week,
They just had one today.
between 6:30 at night and 6:30 in the morning.
Until it happens and it's someone's family member in life, then they're gonna say, why didn't you have enough people on staff? We already went through it with what happened with Hawk, even though it wasn't anything to do with Lincoln. So
Les, how was your recruitment efforts for your call department? Is there
Our
any?
call department has come alive this last year. We've got 4 new people that are very, very active. One of them's got her EMT and she's going to the fire academy this summer.
So you do work with the call department to
do.
get them
We-
elevated to the,
We're trying to get them all elevated up, yes. But they're not. They used to have 60 on the call department and we got 7 now.
So if I'm reading their wage, list of people you have 15 people that qualified as EMTs.
Out of the 20, we have 19 that's qualified.
And we paid for the training for all of those.
Yeah. Well, you paid for the training for the last 6 years since we've had an ambulance. Anyone that has got a license, yes. And there's a couple people that had their licenses prior to. 3 of the medics had their license prior to coming to work. But East Millinocket paid for 2 of them.
Did we have to pay Millinocket for that?
No,
Les, is there any legislation being discussed regarding EMS?
There-
being reimbursed if somebody leaves their employee and goes for a different town?
they are trying to, main chiefs are trying to get that in the works as of right now. But you're talking legislation, right now, the drug enforcement is trying to make it, they have passed it, that we're gonna have to get 3 safes for the ambulance and 1 safe for the fire department to keep our ambulance drugs in. So we can lock them up. So that's,
Who's gonna pay for those?
But-
That's what they're gonna have done anyway.
we're gonna try to get a grant, we're going to try to get grants for that, but
So if it's coming down from the state as a mandate, there is a law in the state that says if they do mandate municipal government or any entity, certain things, the state has to pay for it.
you've got an awful lot of ambulance services in the state of Maine right now trying to find that mandate that you're talking about that they have to pay, because right now, no one's paying.
I'll help you with.
Okay,
If you show up at a fire, obviously you do a call in. I think the National Fire Code says you need 15 full blown fire, house fire, you have to have 15. When you get there, and obviously with 19 EMTs, you're probably gonna have more than one. Who chooses who's in charge of all the EMTs in coordination when it comes to?
well, the fire chief or the captain on, but the chance of us having all 19 of our 20 of our full-time people at one fire is slim and none.
Well, you got a minimum of 15, right?
Well, you'd have your call members, and then you'd have Howland coming, you'd have Mattawamke coming, you'd have Lee coming to try to get to 15. And the chance out of getting 15 is slim and none. We're gonna be fighting it with less than that. Cause you can't just turn around and leave the fire, you have to work on putting it out, but recommended, that number recommended.
That code is actually not adopted by the state farmer. There's hundreds of thousands of codes, until state law, a law has to adopt the code to make it mandatory. Like the OSHA law, the state of Maine adopted 1910 and 1926 as state required rules to follow federal code. So same thing with the state, the certain and the NFPA code. There's a lot in those codes that are not used. And that one you're referring to, the second one was 1701. It's not a mandate. There's a whole bunch of they're just recommendations, but they're not approved by some legal entity.
Do we have any legal documents saying how many people have to be on a fire?
Just that ocean. So that ocean 2 in, 2 out means you're going into the fire to rescue them. You're not, you're not outside this water. That's going into rescue. That's a different type of fire. That's rescue.
So if you're going 2 in, 2 out, it'd be awful nice if you got a hose with you and going to rescue someone, and you got somebody on the pump.
Make sure that it stays on. That's correct. That's why they're conservative.
I think we talked also about the different leases that you have. So currently you have one ambulance that's under lease,
Yes,
and is that the newest
that's the
one?
newest one.
Okay. And you have one ambulance that's in storage or in the garage and you only use,
It was out today. It was out twice today.
so you do use the third one
Yeah,
at some point.
it's completely ready to go. Service,
Do you think you're gonna always need 3 ambulances?
absolutely. I feel we only need 3, we used 3 several times since we've had the 3rd ambulance.
So as a municipality, we're gonna always see some sort of payment for either a lease payment or putting money into a reserve account to pay for
I
a
would
new
think
one.
so, yeah,
So do we have a reserve account for ambulances, do you know?
no,
We have
we've always done it just lease and pay for them to the lease.
as we go.
That we go.
And I also noticed in this current budget that you had some striker equipment and turnout gear leases in the past.
Yes.
Those are paid off now according to the notes.
Yes,
Again, something like that, I don't see why we're leasing that rather than purchasing.
because we leased it to pay over a 2 or 3 year period, so we didn't have to raise as much money in 1 year. We took 2 years to pay for it, it's like the turnout gear and the strike equipment.
So it's a lease to own, it's
Yes,
not just a
That's a lease
straight
to
lease.
own, that's correct, we own.
And they still have a problem forever chemicals, because they can't find anything to replace the fire resistance
Right,
with that product, so
right.
it'll still be a while before that problem is resolved. That's a real technical problem. So,
Yeah, they don't know
Just
what
like
to
they
do
do
with
that.
this turnout once it is gone. They can't bury it in the landfill because of the PFAS.
for nature for left, it's actors film, foam, is what they use in airports to put out jet fuel fires. And that basically just a bunch of foam that kills all the oxygen. Right. The fire triangle that's killed one of the 3 sides, and they still don't have anything to just triple that.
Right.
And that is the major pollutant around most of the military airports. So that is trying to put out fires. That fuel fire. So it's a long-term problem, and they're trying to get rid of Teflon. There's nothing that can replace Teflon. What is that? So, I see that this problem is gonna be on ground for long. Let's make, sorry, a recommendation was on the council meeting that we recommended 60% increase on fire. Correct me if I'm wrong, and we suggest Chester was gonna be 252 or 205,000.
You're talking about the agreement with
Right.
Chester and Lynn
Yeah.
for fire and EMS service.
Well, we had done it with Chester, but when it's.
When it's already said.
Well,
The fee proposed for Chester, which Master Agreement Committee rallied around, it is in the neighborhood of $255,000 for 1 year, for the pending fiscal year.
And theirs is the only contract coming up due this year. Chester's is the only contract.
Yeah, and all the ambulance services, I mean, just ambulance, but I think we decided to go to 155 versus 100.
Les, I'm still confused from that discussion. I don't know what was agreed upon.
I believe that at the meeting, they went from 100 to 155, 160. That was where they were talking when we left, but we're gonna have another meeting, I believe.
But after the budget session, the budget's settled.
So just. We got $135,729 in grants last year. 2 from EMS stabilizing grants, which supplied. They helped educate my 2 paramedics and my 2 advanced. And then we had an EMS supplement grant for $34,000 that helped pay basics and mileage and courses, plus some EMS equipment for training. But all that has to be used for training.
And those are federal grants?
Those are state grants, because they come from the federal government to begin with, but
Okay.
state.
And does Vicky help you write those grants or
No,
do you
those
do
are-
that yourself?
To be honest with you, Bruce and myself. Bruce Arnold,
Okay.
Yeah, local 30. In our contract agreement, when they provide any training. I know a lot of local unions,
And you,
including
no,
training in there.
they,
They believe it out.
I guess I don't understand. Do they pay for?
Right.
No.
So they don't think it's important for their people to be safe.
Our fire department union?
Yeah.
Okay, they have no reason to pay. How would they pay?
Through the union dues.
The unions would not be enough to cover that.
So does the local 3038 have an office here in Lincoln?
And has the union just happened to walk in?
I can hear the questions. Do you have an office here in Lincoln? Do I have an office? Yeah, the local 3038. No, sir. On the website, it says it does. I gave the address, yeah. Private, no, we have a mailbox. At the post office. Well, it didn't say PO box, it gave an address. For an office. News to me, we don't have the money to pay rent. I was just wondering if you represent any other towns besides Lincoln. So the International Association of Firefighters is the overall union. Then there's the Professional Firefighters Maine, which is a state union, which is an affiliate of the IFF. We are a local that only represents the Lincoln Fire Department. Okay. And we have no office. We have no physical office. Fire station is all we have. I'll send you a copy of it. On the website, it basically gives us an address, and I didn't bring it with me, but I was wondering why we had it.
Yeah, it's gone when you come back from fire.
Second one we did.
I think that's all we have for fire, and I think there was some number anything else that was pending.
Here you live, 0010, professional development. There is a request for, to have a breakdown of the overtime to include it in the funding, person's training, as well as the cost of the overtime for the person attending the training.
Those are the minutes from
That's.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that
couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
We're pretty given a breakdown, but those will help. Those are what it costs us to send each person.
It was also pointed out that the department request for wages and overtime for fiscal year 2027 are far below the current running rate for wages and overtime.
Okay, say that again. You're saying that the current budget needed,
If you look at this document here. And you take the expenditures to date and
divided by like 10 months.
multiply by 12, yes. And then add 3%. That's far higher than the department request for fiscal year 2020. It appears the department needs about 1.9 million, and they've asked for a little less than 1.7 million. And the prior discussion was that the difference between the current running rate and the request for fiscal year 2026 was probably due to the fact that the amount approved for fiscal year 2026 omitted or lacked funds needed to pay the firefighters and EMT that are in training and the personnel that stands in for them while they're in class.
Well, that's something that I think, did you explain that to
The
us?
grant, that's what our grant.
Yeah, see,
And the
in
grant would have
the
been-
FY 26 budget, there's a credit of 36,500, which is only part of the grant that you're
Right.
gonna get.
That's right, and the grant money would have gone into the general account if we had the treasurer, head of treasurer, she could explain to you where that money is. But
Well, it looks like part of it, but you
Yeah.
said you haven't gotten it all yet.
it would have been received by now, but yes, some of it has not come, but all but $34,000.
So did you take into account that 70,000 from the grant?
That's
is
news to me.
included?
I don't recall the grant being discussed previously.
I remember we talked about this credit and you had said it was a grant. So that grant was paying for some of this training that you're sending your officers
Paid for
to,
all of the training.
So the grant is on the order of,
70,000, if you look at.
that's too little, Jeanette. I mean, too little. The running rate this year for the firehouse, for the wages and overtime is on the order of $1.9 million. The department request is on the order of $1.6 million. The difference is approximately $300,000 or 4 times that grant.
From my notes, we had added $420,000 for the whole fire budget to do all the different things.
Yeah, we recommended that the fire department budget be increased significantly, and that's not reflected in the revised budget.
Well, I don't think he meant to put in our recommendations yet, totally under the budget committee.
I did.
The town manager will put down what we had recommended
Yes,
through all our deliberations,
correct.
and then you'll print this all out again.
I will print it all out again.
You know, I'm looking at my notes. I wrote down for the department total, $2,564,000 for fiscal year 2027. Which is roughly $500,000 more than the request. The revised request is actually lower than what they requested, almost a month ago?
Yeah, that's what I couldn't understand why the town manager's revised budget to us was lower than you originally put in the notebook to begin with, so I don't know what happened there.
Notes, I don't have an answer to that question.
Yeah. Wow.
It's not, this is the book that he had and I don't see anything in here dealing with that.
But that's what you will do for the council, is you'll put in under the budget committee column all the recommendations we gave you
Yes.
for.
That's why I'm very thankful for all the notes you have sent, because that's what I gotta go by since I wasn't here for the first few
Right.
budget meetings, so that's all I have to go by.
Okay. Well, again, maybe in the future, when you get grant money, maybe that should be allocated separate from the regular department. I don't know how you could do that, but maybe talk to the next treasurer about accounting for grants in a separate account. So it doesn't inflate your budget. I don't know if that's possible or not. but- Anybody else think of anything else?
I just quickly did the same thing with David did, we usually, but we run this out for 12 months. The budget for overtime and wages is gonna be close to 1.9.
Thank you.
So do you think all of these hours that you've outlined here for paying for training is in your overtime budget to pay for that training for the
That's
upcoming year?
Yes.
It is in the overtime budget. Well, yeah, that's the other thing too. We don't know what the overtime in the FY 26 budget was paying for somebody out on workers' comp or somebody out sick or.
We had one gentleman that's been out for 6 months with a cardiac head. He's had open heart surgery.
And so his shift has had to be filled with overtime.
That's-
So that's part of what we can't assume is gonna happen next year.
But it happens year in and year out. I went back 3 years. The actual expenditures chronically and significantly exceed the budget, year in and year out. This is fiscal year 25. The sum of wages and overtime was a 9% over budget. The prior year it was 17% over budget.
Again, not knowing the history, we don't know exactly.
And wages are over budget. It's not just overtime. Wages are over budget.
In your report list that you just handed out to us. Yeah, 128,976, which is the overtime hours for the training. Where did you put in the wages to replace those folks while they're on training?
That would have been in the overtime hours, and that was paid for by the grant. Some that was paid for by the grant, the overtime hours. A lot of that is all paid for by the grant. The grants that we got this year paid for 2 paramedics going paramedic school in Pascal.
How much was the grant again?
It was a total grant for $135,729. That helped pay for 2 paramedics, 2 basic EMTs, and 2 advanced EMTs to go to cost school.
And your total. Well, that was just for 2 EMTs. What was the other?
2 paramedics, 2 advanced EMTs, and 2 basic EMTs.
So 6 people.
Do you anticipate that you'll get those every year, those grants?
I have already got one accepted right now. 35. So yes, we will get them. As long as they are being offered, we will get them.
When Bruce, I don't have to write grants, does that come out of the kid budget or does that come out of your fire department?
But that comes out of his budget.
His budget?
It comes out of the town budget. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to look into that. I don't know off the top of my head.
We have 19 EMTs, is that correct?
Yeah.
Or people qualified to provide emergency.
We have
services.
19 EMTs plus 1 advanced EMT, 1 basic EMT. It's on the call about. We have 20.
I figure we need 12. Why are we training them?
I don't know how you figured we only need 12.
That's 3 per shift. We run 4 shifts, is that correct?
Correct.
3 times 4 is 12.
And what happens if 2 of those that are on the shift is sick or on another transfer, however it could be?
When you call, don't you have a call-in procedure?
Yes, we do.
And you can call in other EMTs, is it correct?
Yes, that's
Okay, let's take care of it. So why are we training more EMTs?
Sir, may I speak? Yeah, go ahead. I can tell you, the first 2 hours of my shift today, we answered about 6 calls, including a building fire and multiple medical calls, and we covered a medical call for Howland. And one of our own, the chest pain call here in town. There are calls that require more than 1 provider. There are calls where both people on the ambulance need to be caring for the patient and there needs to be a driver. There are calls where 5 people need to be providers, such as a cardiac arrest. You have somebody that needs to do airway, somebody that needs to do compressions, you have somebody that needs to be doing medications, you have somebody that needs to be watching the monitor. You can't say, well, we'll have so many people on shift, but we don't want them all to be qualified, right? You want people showing up to emergencies that are qualified to deal with them. And we can't say, well, we only have 3 people on today that can do that, or we only have 2 people on today that can do that. We need everybody to be qualified. We need everybody to be a firefighter. We need everybody to be an EMT at the minimum.
Here's the fundamental problem. When East Millinocket was providing ambulance services in this town, if I understand, we had 1 ambulance.
No, that's incorrect. We had
That's
3.
three, then I was told wrong.
You were.
We had 3 ambulances here.
Yes.
The literature, the newspaper says 1 ambulance is provided by.
No, right from the beginning, we had 2 and then we went to 3.
We had 2 housed in Lincoln and 1 housed in Enfield at a time. And then when Enfield, then we end up bringing it back to. Yeah.
In 2022 fiscal year, the combined fire and EMS department's outlay, net to collect. So that's their outlays minus your revenues, we're on the order of $620,000. This year, the net to collect is on the order of $1.9 million. It's gone up threefold. I don't see where the quality of our service or the need for our service has crippled during that time. Yeah, and the property taxes have gone up so much in that time that Lincoln has actually diminished the purchasing power of probably half of its residents. So you were taking groceries off their table, you were taking fuel out of their furnaces, you were taking clothes off their back.
And you're providing like second services.
None of that means anything if your house burns down and you die of cardiac arrest.
That's triple the cost. People come up to me and say, cut our taxes or stop increasing our taxes. Nobody has asked me to increase their taxes. And it's a bipartisan request that we cut their taxes. And your department is a huge share of the municipal budget. We have to look for ways and find ways to economize. Lincoln needs what it needs.
For example, the one where you're pulling 2 firefighters to help the ambulance pick up very heavy people. We gave it a solution to have a piece of equipment that picks up 330 pounds a person plus another person. Those type of ideas need to be used. It's right now, and this has been happening for ever since you have the ambulance. It's a long time to send 4 people. It's not like you're treating it like it's your money. You're treating it like, who gives a shit about the money?
That's
See,
no,
because-
that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
If it was your money, we came up with this thing. It took me a half hour to find it so brutal. 1.5 hours to find something that could easily do the job. So why has nobody looked?
This is incredibly disrespectful, sir.
Yeah. Well, no, you're not using technology to help reduce costs.
I don't know of a single fire department that utilizes technology to lift people off the ground other than airbags and manpower.
I'm
We have
talking about
equipment.
working 4 people. Using 4 people?
So this is, let me explain something. I'm trying, I apologize if I come off as emotional because I am. And I can't help it.
Great, we want it.
I'm going on 20 years I've worked here. I've helped build this department, I've helped train these people. And we have a fantastic fire. Especially compared to 20 years ago. And that's not speaking of anybody back then, but we have progressed significantly. In our training, how we operate, how we respond to calls. We try to cover all of our bases all the time to provide the best service we can. So when we're at a fire, we have the resources available to go to something else. When we have to send extra people to an EMS call, they're available on that scene to respond to something else as soon as they can. So that people aren't waiting for a mutual aid department to come from 15 or 20 minutes away. Because does anybody in this room want to wait when they need an ambulance for 20 to 30 minutes? No, that's what we're there for. And that's why we're all cross-trained. That's why we need extra ambulances. That's why we have to send extra people on calls. So we don't get hurt, right? Technology is great. It's not gonna, I had a tree fall on my head today. I was wearing a helmet. I used my technology.
People don't get hurt in mills anymore because they use all the jet cranes and rigging stuff and all that. And to go 5 years not to resolve this issue, to me, is very blatant about disrespect of money,
Well, I
of
think-
public money.
I think that the fire that happened this week in a mill, several people got hurt and some people got killed. So people do still get hurt,
Well, when I'm talking lifting, when you're lifting.
You know, and
That's
the comment that-
taken care of by.
And the comment that you made about how people are coming to you, cut their taxes. People come up to us every day, and no one says, if my house is bleeding, don't pound on my chest, don't defibrillate. If I'm bleeding to death, don't hurry over and don't stop the bleeding. I mean, we get praise quite often for the crew that we have that goes out for fire and EMS.
Yeah, there's no problem about,
We're not criticizing quality of service.
no,
We're trying to make it more affordable.
Yes,
Let me repeat. Lincoln is taking food off of people's table. At least half of the population saw purchasing power in the last 5 years. You're taking clothes off their back, you're taking fuel oil out of their furnaces. You add up all of that, you are imperiling people's health. And one more point. I can only go back to 2022. The Social Security cost of living increase since 2022 has gone up 18%. The fire department wages have gone up 51%, 3 times as much.
That's because we've hired,
No, the wage, not the payroll, the wage. It costs Lincoln $125,000 more or less per fire department employee. That is more than twice the median household income in Lincoln.
Well, I think you really hate them for other companies, because other companies raise wages, so.
Okay, so how can we make this affordable here? Are you gonna continue?
Are you got social security, that's what it's for.
when you're showing a huge increase in fire, I keep comparing it to when it was just fire, and now it's fire and the amount.
No, 2022 included the EMS service. I added up the EMS and fire department.
And I will say that every time, for the last 10 years that we've had budget meetings. Every time we ask people, you wanna see your fire EMS cut, you wanna see your police cut, want to see public works cut? The resounding answer from the public is no. So people want taxes lower, yes. People don't want services cut, yes.
Maybe you could revisit the tax cut situation, all this is a little great.
Bruce already told you, it's $56,000 more is actually coming in for that $3.4 million of new value. That's 154 missing properties. That's all the money is. It's not enough to solve.
Missing.
What's that? 1 year, she made it sound like it was all of it.
Go ahead.
That's what she made it sound like.
Yeah. Yeah, line.
Mr.
We're not disrespecting. What you do, what the two guys is fantastic. You go above and beyond. The bottom line is, how much is enough? Because we can sit here, when we talk about safety, talk about how many seconds it takes to get to a fire. We can come up with having a fire station every 10 miles. But how much is enough?
But the thing is, that's really slaps us in the face, is the councils in the past have wanted us to train our people the very best we can train them. Get them trained, so when the mill starts up again, when business says, but the EMS and fire are trained the highest standard, and that's exactly what we have done. We've gone for grants, we've tried to train the highest standard, we've tried to get everybody trained the same level. And for the comments that I've been hearing here, it's like back to 3 people. I mean,
When did anybody say free?
back 3 EMTs. You just said
I did
three
say
licensed
EMT.
EMTs.
That's not the free.
But
person
that's
included.
still
Three people. Free
Not
EMT
educating
person.
the people the way they need to be trained. If you're gonna have a fire and EMS service, you have to train your people to fire and EMS service. If you have 2 that can and 3 that can, or vice versa, that's not good fire EMS practice.
I agree with that. I mean, you're not gonna train public works to only have 2 people that can drive a truck and 3 people that can, so.
It doesn't even
Makes that.
It doesn't even make sense to me. If you have a fire and you got your firefighters fighting the fire, and it's either the homeowner or the firefighter go down, and oh, that's the wrong firefighter over here. He can't help you with this one. That doesn't make sense. That's going back 30 years.
Oh, I mean, obviously the only one we compare to Howland. Do we do anything like, we're pretty much identical to Howland, like we're doing everything exactly the same as the one that's closest to us.
That's correct.
There's no-
Every fire department would like to be set up the way that we are, with everyone trained to the highest level we possibly can get them trained to.
and that's another issue. The state of the fire service and EMS nationwide has been short since COVID, and probably before COVID. When I came to test in Lincoln, I had to beat out 18 people for one job. Now we're lucky if we get enough applicants to fill our positions. And that's not just us, that's across the country. We haven't been able to attract a paramedic to come to Lincoln in years. We put out, in fact, in our last union contract, we agreed to have paramedic only positions because we need paramedics. We only have 5 on the entire department, and that just went up from 3. We didn't even have enough for each shift. And if you don't know, paramedic is the highest level of licensure in EMS for an ambulance service. They're the ones who have the cardiac drugs, they defibrillate, they can do a 12 lead and look at your heart and do all the advanced interventions to save a life. So we need paramedics, we have to have them. Because on top of emergencies, we do paramedic interfacility transfers, which bring in a significant amount of revenue. Well, if we don't have paramedics to do those transfers, we're losing that revenue. And at the very end of it, we're a commodity. Firefighters, EMTs, paramedics are a commodity. If you have your training and your licenses, you're free to go pretty much anywhere in the state of Maine and even in the country. That's the fact that we have been able to build the crew that we have and keep the loyalty that we have and continue to train people up and that they stay here is quite unique. And to be completely honest, morale is terrible right now because of the political climate in this town and some of the things that are said in these very meetings. They come across as being very personal attacks against us. And I know
There is no reason to consider what's been said in here on questions about how to economize it being an attack on the department. That is silly. Now, just a minute.
It's not.
We have said before that we respect.
I believe he said that's enough, sir. He spoke, he's the chairman, correct? Now, I don't know what my authority is completely yet, but I'm really getting tired of this. We're getting off topic. We need to get back to the budget.
I'd like to get back to that.
Yeah, get back to the
Okay.
budget.
If
Yes.
we need all of these skills and all of these people, we need to pay them. And we need to provide adequately for their compensation. In the prior meeting, roughly a month ago, it was suggested that the department needs a total of $1.9 million or so for wages and overtime. Your revised budget is nowhere close to that. Do your people know that they're gonna run out of paychecks March or April of next year?
I'm not part of the budget process, sir. I'm here as a representative of the firefighter.
Will your people work without compensation in April, May, and June? Do they know that the fire department has not requested adequate compensation?
I don't know all the facts, sir. I don't
You're
know.
upset with me.
I'm not upset.
Your
with you.
fire department personnel should be upset with whoever determined the first budget and the revised. I tried a month ago to get you adequate compensation. It's not there.
Yeah, we added 520,000, which included fire truck issues too.
And I can guess why we don't have it was because they fired the town manager that was doing the work and nothing against you, but
No, I get it.
you wouldn't know to do all this, so. That's exactly. So that issue lies with the council. The council made a mistake and the council can own it.
Fire department does not do its budget book.
The corrections are made by Dennis. Dennis was the one making the corrections.
Okay.
So, what happened to Dennis? I can't remember.
Sounds like you're accusing me of being a smart ass and you're being a smart ass.
Yeah, okay, we're done with fire. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sorry for people.
Should you make a recommendation to council to?
I will entertain any motion.
Take the budget.
I will entertain any motion.
Am I up?
Yeah, you're up.
So, Start us off if I can. No,
Yeah, we're on, are we on fuel?
no,
No. Where we left off.
okay, well, I do want to say something about, the school department not approving the SRO. So is that gonna mean that you're gonna take that out of the budget, or you're gonna leave it in?
I think that's gonna be a council
Very
decision,
council
right? So I will tell you, I just went over the school budget meeting. I didn't know that this was gonna happen, but Gordon actually made a motion to put it back in, but it didn't pass. I was over there just to keep the peace, but it was actually pretty peaceful.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I think it's something that definitely needs to be discussed. I mean, obviously, I think we need a school resource officer, but on the other side, should the town of Lincoln be paying for all? I don't, that's a good question.
Would we have the capacity to bill the other school district towns if we did leave it in the budget? Is there anything in the law that allows you to do that?
No, I don't think so. So if they decide to cut it, and I mean, in talking to the school, they want a school resource officer. They just have to make tough decisions, and that's where they decided to cut. I think there's some grants that we can look at, but obviously with grants, after 3 or 4 years, you're gonna have to pay for it all. Like, so, like, it depends on what people want to do.
George Kyle, professional. So what is your recommendation regarding the SRO? And if the answer is we're not gonna have one, how does absorbing her back, 100% back into your budget impact the budget?
Good question.
Since
So,
you have her partially now in your budget.
yeah, well, no, it's in there the whole amount, so it's.
Yeah.
I don't understand, what we talked about that last time was, I don't understand why we do it that way, but that's,
Okay.
but,
So it wouldn't impact the budget we have in our hands.
well, I mean, you would take that out. You're not gonna get the revenue from the school, right? So that's one less position. But I mean, since our last budget meeting, I've lost 2 people, so. So, I mean, basically. She would take one of those spots. So it wouldn't necessarily have conflict of interest. Right.
Let's all kind of follow up to Kathy's question is if you got rid of the school resource officer, would you be needing to fill that with another bit of a school resource officer where you're gonna get part-time? Would you be filling that with another police, like, could you make a new role like just police officer?
Yeah, she would just go back and give.
But you would be like, so, I mean, you have, what is it, 11 now, 13? I have 12.
12 plus the chief, right?
Yeah.
13. I have,
I'm not like police officer.
yeah, so 13. I have 13
With you.
with me and the
Yeah.
SRO.
So, so with the 13, if SRO wasn't funded, you would just drop down to what, 12 total, and then would you keep it that way, or would you be wanting another to make it 13 total?
No, I mean, I want the SRO back. but,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the long-term goal, right? But yeah, no. She would fill into that one of those roles, so.
Okay.
And that works with the staffing things that we talked about last time.
So if that does pass, the school budget, the only difference will be that the revenue on the revenue side will not come into the town, so we'll have to make up that revenue somewhere else.
which they did vote on it.
It did not.
Right.
Okay.
But the school was refusing to pay for the resource officer. I don't know anything about elementary, I know what the problem is with junior high, and high school teachers though. But if they don't think the resource officer is necessary enough for the school budget to pay for, then what, are we taking up 100% of it? In the future?
No.
Is that what we're looking at?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if the council wanted to do that, they could do that, but it's not necessarily. Honestly, I don't know that the town of Lincoln should be paying for all the school resource officer anyways, because there's other schools. So there's other towns there, right? So. I don't see that the council, I can't speak for the council, but I can't imagine the council is gonna want to pay for the whole amount.
I heard complaints from the junior high and high school teachers. One of them said they never see the school resource officer, and the other one said that she's there, she's always in her office. Is there supposed to be somebody walking around the schools, especially with the older kids?
So. Yes, that would be the objective of the SRO. So, and I can't really talk about personnel and what personnel is doing or what they're not doing. As far as that wouldn't be appropriate in this setting, I don't think. But I heard that was, I've gotten that information.
You thought we left off at fuel,
I think so.
and what was our question with regards to fuel? I thought we took care of-
Nothing is terrible,
Yeah.
right?
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's where we left off.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion here to make this a lot simpler, to get my bottom line. What I just passed out with the council. So the police. The budget went, I asked them for 16% increase this year. And as we go all the way from 2020, we basically 96 or 90% increase. What we've added through this is these two blue lines. We added 520 to the firefighters, for that capital side and pay, and the public works, that's all for payment. So if we do that and prove everything was a waste, we signed, there's gonna be a 6% increase, which is gonna be double what they expect inflation to be this year. And I think that's a really bad sign to set. So let me just put out and say, right there, proposed budget, right below the blue numbers in the middle, there's what the budget, if you put that 0% last year total move, you drop it down to there and everybody's taxes on the page. The other one is +1, +2, +3. So I make an amendment to go 0% last year and whatever, when it comes up, comes up.
Can I, were you here last time?
No,
Okay, so I spent a long time explaining how our budget got to where it was.
all I know is the budget is 214% higher than it used to be in 2020.
And I explained that all in the last budget meeting.
And the only place you can cut government is people. And the only place that your police is a losing of police. Because remember here when the problem happened, we're here to.
I would disagree with you on that.
Oh, really? Then you.
So you're basically saying that we don't come to your calls? I don't know where you're
They're
saying.
not there when when the usual, the criminal event happens, you're usually not there, because you can't be anywhere. Everywhere the same place. So it's more investigation. In other words, of all the places to cut, we're the least impact to safety compared to everything else that we had potential to cut.
I would disagree with you. I would disagree with you.
Well, there's really, you have.
I mean, how do you expect to get a crime before it happens? Like that,
Well, that's why.
And we're trying to get to a point where we have 2 officers on so that we can be at more places. This is one of the biggest towns.
And we can't afford it, it's the whole point.
Yes, but you can't have 1 officer on it. It's not safe. If you were here last time, I explained that.
This is a little town. It is safe. If you're scared, Go somewhere else because this is a safe town.
That's
There's more
disrespectful.
people in that. That's, you feel safe? I don't feel safe.
The,
So you don't
the other thing about this is you have an officer sitting in the back row that to be at a shooting. That was out of work for weeks because he was saving a family from an event that was
And
happening.
it's lucky that we had two people there.
And he had to have a shooting.
Well, this problem is you can know that you more and more safety, but my whole point is. The town and the only thing you
You're not gonna have a police department. I can guarantee you,
can go to the sheriff's department.
you can't. You go ask the sheriff if he can cover your town. He's gonna tell you no.
We asked the sheriff before if they would take over Lincoln, and they said exactly what they're gonna do. What we have for police officers now, all they're gonna do is take them, pay them more money and charge us what we pay now, plus another 20%.
So I got this one motion right here, 0% match next year, to stop all this, and they can figure it out. So anybody want to talk to me about? I'll sign. Any more? Well.
We made second. All those in favor?
Well, you want to stop?
No more discussion. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Good, now we know what we want to put such a month. Okay.
I wish you had been here last time so you could have heard. I would go back and listen to my presentation.
I'm a volunteer. I understand.
I think
There's more people carrying in this town than you realize.
That's not about carrying.
Yeah, because when the incident happens, there's more guns to protect people.
That doesn't make any sense.
Harry, doesn't.
All right, that, we're up there then. Unless you have a question on the.
No, I'm here.
I didn't do anything with fuel because I don't know what that's gonna be. I was told to leave it alone.
Got the formula that every other department has had regarding fuel. I thought we're gonna have something on this one.
I could say this, we just kept in what the price was last year.
Yeah.
So that's-
I'm just trying to find the line.
We're on page 46.
Is the town staying the same?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've only known them go to Dysart.
Once it gets, once the budget is approved, then they can go to bid and get the.
They do bid every year, I'm pretty sure.
Well, the fuel goes up significantly. It goes up.
It's usually rack plus a couple cents, at least how it's been in the past. I don't know what it was last year, so.
It goes up about 30%.
What's the figure Dave, that you've got?
Well, I just calculate, there's a 20% increase.
Oh, already. Oh, you must have increased the number of gallons.
From last year was budgeted 27,900 and this year the request is 33,480.
Okay. I'll make a motion for the 33,480.
My only thing with that is gas is 450 now in the ballpark and no signs of that ever dropping, so. I mean. Hopefully in a month, it's not gonna drop over the summer, so.
Maybe you know, George, like when we put that up to bid, say, they give us a price, is it so much below the rack price or is it a set price for the
Each
year?
rack plus like X,
Yeah.
like,
But
So it
But
doesn't
if-
change.
but if like how it is now where prices are really high or fluctuating, then. I imagine the plus is gonna be,
So it's a little locked in at one price. for the whole year.
no, like they don't just go, it's like 250 for the entire year. And I don't know what the rack price is for typically like.
then. Right. Right, because I had asked them, they don't give us any amount in the rate of the already approving them, so I had asked them when I could get that figure to put in. And that was my.
It's usually like the night,
Yeah.
sometimes the night the council votes on it, so.
Yeah.
But they'll plug in the actual. What they get for If they've gone up to bid, so then we don't have a treasurer, I'm assuming we have not even attempted to bid yet. So about the rack price.
The town used to have.
Oh, yes, I want to- let's move on.
The town, what they had, putting in.
Need to know.
It's pretty significant when you take the tank. Just to compare.
Yeah.
It'd be worth checking.
Yeah.
I know that when Old Town had it, there was just a lot of, there was a lot of maintenance to it too, right? You gotta put the fuel tank in, you know, depends on all that sort of stuff, so. What do you like?
Looking at.
We had tanks over at Public Works, they didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
And Old Town just did the same thing.
Yeah, because it's not worth it. It's not in the ground, so.
So. When you make that motion, are you making a motion on the dollar amount or the gallons?
Just the dollar,
Here's the
dollar.
dollar. So if you go over, then
Cause I didn't put that in there because we don't know what it is. Right. So, it's obviously gonna be more than.
we could amend it to make it something a little bit more reasonable as to what it is right now. I don't have a calculator, so it's an easy that with like. Gallons,
43.2,
excuse me,
43.2.
43.2, thank you. I'll amend my motion to 43.200.
Right, any other discussion on that? All those in favor? 10-0. 004 vehicle maintenance department request is $22,690. I'll make a motion for the department request. I'll say most of this because most of the vehicles are leased, so it's gonna be very minimal maintenance, so.
But the maintenance that you do this here regarding oil changes and tire rotation and tires, that's all done by Public Works.
As long as they're not, that's who we go to first. But if they're busy or they don't have time to do it, then it goes over to the other two.
Is this just for the park or is it include the labor?
Maybe parts of,
It
Public Works does it.
Okay.
with that,
So that's everything. That includes the oil, the labor, because I did the high end. Which half of it I did for 6 months here, didn't, and then the half I did it. for Public Works.
Okay.
But we have a better system in place to make sure that happens, so. I email the garage first of every month, let them know where our vehicles are for fuel and, oil changes and all of that stuff. And then we schedule them out. Whereas last year we did not schedule them out. It was not a last minute thing. It's a. It was more asked if they will do it rather than, right, because I can say this vehicle is going to be the one thing within the next week and a half, what day is good for you, and then I let the whole staff know this vehicle needs to be Public Works at 6:30. So we have a pretty good system in place now, whereas we didn't last year, because it was something that was talked about during the budget season. So we kind of thought that.
The reason we asked that is because the other departments have different similar maintenance issues. And finally, when we visited the highway department, they were budgeted for labor for the whole year. So what we're seeing possibly is additional labor being on top of what probably is for the whole year. That's all it really is.
Remember the car details, people, are you bidding that out, or is that something that you just
something that we,
already have somebody?
this is where we had Thornton's in it this year.
Why didn't you do them?
For the lease vehicles too, are those ones required with that, at that dealership?
If it's warranty stuff, yeah, but
No, basic maintenance, so that doesn't matter if you do oil change, the air, all that stuff like that. Any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed?
How much?
0051 rent. Department requests 52,800.
My recommendation to the town council, if they find a building where they don't have to pay rent, and we don't pay rent here, we don't pay rent to the police, and we get a building where we can actually put together and not pay rent. Maybe that will go, there's another thing if we eventually own.
Yeah, I think that's something that needs to come up and do some thoughts about this, because I feel like people, even on the council, have different directions on where they want, what they want to do for a building, right? So I can't do anything. I think I can get some grant funding too for a public safety building, but I can't do anything until somebody gives me a clear direction of where we want to go.
It changes every year with the council, it's been that one council, 9 years.
Right.
So it went from, we should never own a building, we should always rent, we need to buy, own, not rent. It's kind of happening now. Burlington, Oakfield, built their fire station, definitely. When we have the fire station, then I think your experience too.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of fire departments and police departments are getting like
Yeah,
direct congressional spending money.
right.
As long as the town's willing to pay something, right? You can't just, they're not gonna give you the whole thing, but that would work, but we need a direction to go.
I would certainly need recommendation of all the grants, anything we could, again, we can put a town office and the hard part is when you start thinking about locations, like town office should be in town, and then
Right.
like there's no location here to build a right here in Milltown.
Yeah, well, like for instance, where the old Chinese place used to be right next to O'Reilly, wouldn't that be a good place to?
But if you're trying to put a town office, police, fire,
I still think that would be a good place for all of us. Yeah. But they have that other piece of land right next to it.
Looking at the 26 budget, looks like you're over 10,000 for 10 months. If you project that out, it looks like the total rent is 65,000. I'm wondering, blow out there somewhere.
At the end of April, we were almost fully expended.
Well, again, you gotta remember, we were living in a trailer and had other things that we were trying to do. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the rent.
The rent now?
Well, the rent now you're saying is 52, is that locked in, 52.8, is that?
Yes, that's locked in. The only reason why it was different this year was I think they took some. When we were renting the trailer, when we were fixing some things with the mold issue. That cost us some of that too, where he didn't pay for us to be in a trailer. He didn't, maybe he should have, but and the mold problem's fixed for now. But I mean, I still think there's a mold problem there.
again, I don't know what the rent piece is, but.
So
When, is it like year to year or?
So it runs out this year, but. When we still need to speak to Mr. Harkin, this is what he gave us for a price. And we'll have to sign another lease, but we can get out of the lease, just like we could have got out of this one.
We didn't pay any of the cost for any of the repairs.
So your lease, the last 3 years said that you had to pay the repairs.
That's crazy.
So that's not something that. The town attorney and I looked at it a while ago with the mold issue, and so he had never seen that because he wouldn't have recommended. Obviously, to sign another lease, that wouldn't be something that we would agree on.
Yeah, we're paying 2,500.
Yeah.
This would be the time thing that we're about pieces. I thought the Cody from the 2 storage trailers, one you got stuff in, you got the room and back now. You're trying to get yours clean. He's gonna see if there was a spot with the town already on board to put they got skates and snowshoes and stuff, so. It's not a ton, that's 175 a month.
Yeah, I don't want to use that. So like, I feel that there's some security issues with that
Right.
in itself. And so I'm trying to, there's about 100 boxes left there. So I'm trying to get those out of there. And get them
I
inside.
think that's a little thing that could go away that.
Right, I didn't even know until the budget started this year, I didn't even know what that was, because I don't know where that's coming out of, because it's not coming out of my budget. Right.
All right, we have a motion in a second for the rent. I would amend my motion to have the council look at grants, anything to get a permanent structure, police, fire, and town office.
Who seconded that?
I'm sorry. No motion combined, or-
No, they're together, 52,800 plus work for grants.
Or do something for a permanent building, grants. Anything.
Combine them.
Yeah.
Do something.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed? 10-0. 0056, laboratory testing, department request, 1,950. I'll make motion for the department request.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah.
the drug testing is for,
So anytime that there's a case where we deal with and they need to test the drugs. So we have a machine that we got on a grant that can test it and tell us what drug it is. The DA's office is requiring us to go further and make that test it at the laboratory. You have to physically bring it down to the library, test it.
these are tests for John Doe while they're jumping down the street.
Well, it would be somebody that would be charged, so. Ideally. Actually, I don't know. I think they might have changed the law. You used to be able to get restitution on it.
Well, I was gonna say, why can't you
Right.
get restitution?
I don't know that, and I have to look at it, but I almost think it's not a restitutional thing now, but I'd have to look at that, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll save everybody time. And we only need 6 tests.
Well, so sometimes they don't test them. Sometimes people plea out. Before you have to get to that, so that works out for our favor sometimes, so right now, the way it works is we take in drugs. And until the DA says you need to take that to the lab, we don't take it to the lab. It's actually, we used to just send everything to the lab. And you could see where it was even more expensive and we were testing everything. And then it got to a point where the lab was getting inundated and then the DA's office was like, let's stop this and we'll tell you what we need sent to the lab.
They didn't spend anything last year, Dave.
Yeah, so I mean, like, we
3100.
haven't got anything as far as big stuff, but you could, right? Like, I don't know, like, I don't know if we're just not seeing it, but we're sending, because we are sending stuff to the lab to get tested, so I haven't seen a bill on it, so
I'm pleasantly surprised it's just 6.
what's that?
No.
Oh, yeah,
Six.
yeah, well,
A lot of stuff we need a lab, but
yeah,
I don't think those.
and sometimes stuff goes down the lab and it just sits there, it doesn't get tested.
I'm good.
Sure, I'll second your motion, but I would suggest that we take what's left in last year's budget, 3,100, and put it in the reserve account, so maybe we don't.
You second that?
I did, yeah.
All those in favor? Safety compliance, Department of West, $4,138. I'll make a motion for the department request. Any discussion?
You only have to do half a shot.
No, so that, all that means is if 2 new people come in, we give them their shots. Everybody else has been offered their shots or gotten their shots.
I see it's overspent this year, any idea why, is it?
Really.
Oh, consider it then.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So when I started, basically. We, I offered it to all the employees for the hep shot, so.
We just didn't hold off on it this year because it wasn't put in power enough for everyone to come in and make some opted in. So that wouldn't, it wouldn't look like that. If we were to-
Right. And it's not one of these things where if you opt out and then later on you come out and say, I'd like to have my hep shots, I'm not gonna give you your hep shots.
Is this something you gotta get yearly or?
No,
No.
once you get this, you get a series of 3 and then you should be good. So,
And where you already have 2 positions, you gotta fill, could be pensions that are good. We have a second, 1 second.
Charlie did already.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? No, or anyone opposed? 0063 communications, department requests $7,800. Make a motion for
George.
Yep, go ahead.
My understanding is that US Cellular has better coverage here.
I would disagree, but also US Cellular doesn't actually exist anymore, so everything's gonna be the T-Mobile. Good, okay. I can speak about that a little bit, so I know the town manager talked to me or emailed me this morning about trying to get everybody on the same kind of plan, so.
$450 per line, the lowest number I've seen with significant.
Right,
Next lowest was $550 or there,
Yeah.
so. thank
Oh,
you.
really? Okay.
so if you can get everybody on T-Mobile, maybe we save a little
Yeah,
money.
and I talked to the business agent, so I think one of the things that was happening with US Cellular is they were just going to the store. Which we don't do that, like, we have a person that's just a business representative and he gives us a business rate. So that's why we probably have a better rate.
Yeah, well, I asked that question way back and.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
could answer the question.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me that we were actually like when the US Cellular store was open, we were actually going to that store and. I'd never done that. I'd always just called my business person and they took care of it.
All right, make a motion for the department request of $7,800.
You anticipate replacing 2 phones?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Whatever the phone, so if it's a supervisor's phone, then they can pick an iPhone or an Android, whatever it is.
And again, maybe just because if they're town provided phones, is there any like management, like encryption, like, so if someone loses their phone, like gets from a wife, and we doing any of that?
No.
No.
But everything should be, what?
I'm trying to Apple.
I think my.
No, I don't. No, nothing set up the phones that are in the cars. I chose during the setup that if there's so many failed attempts to log in, we'll wipe it. I can log in to the same account on one and wipe it that way. So no, not the supervisor. So, but yes, for the vehicle.
Those in favor? 0. 0108, the contractual services, the permanent cost, $148,273.
What is it?
I make a motion for the permanent cost.
And I see this is crossed out.
Yeah, we can talk.
Okay. Any discussion?
Well, right, the 2 new leases under this department. I've
Right,
never
like-
seen anything like this.
It's not even in mine because somebody added it after, so when you said 148, I was like, what are you talking about? So,
On my document on our document, the car camera is scratched out.
Yeah, so
It's this year.
remember what we talked about in the last meeting is I might be able to get that under that grant funding.
Yeah.
So if I can, then take some of the excess OT money that I had this year, pay for that, the cruiser cams out of that this year. Skip this whole next year. Hopefully I can get the rest of it under that grant. And then we'll be good going forward. If not, then the next year coming up, then it would be in the budget.
So the
Although it wouldn't be double, it would just be whatever the next payment would be.
So the bottom line, the fiscal year 27 should be on the order of 133.
Yeah, the biggest thing is trying to explain that to council too. So I don't want to just cross it out and say it's not there, but then basically explain that
Well, I'll put it in that, so if you get the grant, you can take it out of
the
what you're gonna
grant,
get for this year.
Yeah.
Next year, FY 27, you won't make a payment.
because I mean, what I don't want to do is not have it. I mean, it's a tool that we have. Like, for example, I got a complaint that we were chasing a motorcycle, but we weren't chasing a motorcycle. But I can't watch, when I got on the body cam to watch, I can't see what's going on, right? So I can't see where the motorcycle is. I can't see how fast the officer is going. So those sorts of things is going to reduce liability and help me too.
And that's how you explained it in grant,
What's that?
that you need it for liability purposes.
Well, yeah, the
Yeah.
grant specific, very specific, so hopefully I can articulate it in there.
You're subtracting 15,624 from 148,273.
I suggested that.
Yeah, so 133.
I'll amend my motion to that with the caveat that if the grant's not funded, the money for it should come out of undesignated funds.
Not funded with the-
The bottom line, George, should be how much?
What was the number you gave? The
132.
132.
I guess my suggestion too is maybe you guys can make the suggestion that we take out all these things that are not year to year things. So like, I think the leases should be under the capital. I
Debt
think the
service
state
or debt service.
AED should be out of capital. Anything I'm gonna buy and it's only a one-time purchase, I think should be out of capital and it shouldn't be out of the operating budget.
I think we've made that recommendation, I think a number of times in our minutes, but we can add it to this one.
Is there a reason why anyone's been opposed to that in the past? I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
Evidently, the auditor that was hired by the town told us that we had to have it out of capital and put in the operational budget, but in the way I interpret that, if I were treasurer, is I would take it out of capital, but I'd put it in debt service. That it is a debt, and then debt service is over time, payments made either to a lease or to a mortgage or whatever. And so I don't think it belongs in the operation.
And for some reason, anything that was under $10,000 as a one-time purchase, I was told needed to go in the operating budget, which wouldn't make any sense to me. If it's just a one-time purchase, it should be a capital. No matter how much.
We've always considered those capital purchases if it's over, well, like when I was working, it was over 1,000 with a life of greater than 5 years. So those were the parameters that qualified it to go in capital budget. But I don't know what parameters they use.
In that definition, capital expense change.
Yeah.
Cost of money.
But if you have a policy, I would think the auditor would look at that policy before making their recommendations, because they're not the ones dealing with the operational budget.
Do we have a second for that? Any other discussion? So the motion would be for 132,649. The 15 come from undesignated funds. Should the grant not be acquired.
15,624.
All those in favor? Zero.
Capital.
This sheet.
Any cap plan to do.
I don't have any capital. No, there's nothing in there.
You were good team last year.
Right?
And then the last one would be personal. Personal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Found it quickly.
887. 0062 workers' compensation, Department of Best $231,000.
I'm sorry, where are you at exactly?
Page 87 under personnel.
7, I'm sorry, thank you.
Well, some of the questions that we've been asking all along is, what is our mod rate? And how many outstanding claims do we have under workers' comp?
So this is our mod rate. Many, I could spell, how many? How many are worker comp complaints are going right now?
Annually, they can give us like a 3-year look back, how many claims have we had under workers' comp? To have us this huge amount every year, it seems to be going up and up and up.
I mean, that's a great question. I know, in the private sector, we always seem to get the highest end of it because our employees, I don't know if it's just dangerous doing deliveries, but they were always getting hurt doing something. So, we always seem to be at the higher rate of that. I don't know what the rate is of anybody getting injured here, but that's obviously what they base it on. So that's a good question, but I'll write that down. I'll see if I can get you that information.
That is like historically like the firefighter being
Well, I understand that we have a very high risk employee.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
in some of these departments, but, there's gotta be a reason too, because if you can get that mod rate down below 1, then you're gonna pay a lesser premium. And supposedly we're involved in this SHAPE program that was detailed in our first meeting that's supposed to help us get that lowered even more. So is the SHAPE program beneficial to this town for whatever cost we're paying for that process? I'm not sure.
So it's supposed to help lower the workers' comp.
The mod rate or the claims that are actually being processed.
input.
The running rate this year is $150,000.
Okay.
Which is roughly 25% below the budget.
Okay.
So if our actual is below the budget, why should we increase?
That's a great question. Don't have an answer, but that's a great question. I'm not sure why they would, unless there's claims that are just about to come out that are gonna be on the next fiscal year, but it seems like that somebody's planning for something bad if they're doing.
Instead of billing every month.
Yeah.
So what you would have for current outstanding claims.
I apologize, I was trying to be a little funny. But that, I'll have to look into that and find out why that there was a recommended a rate increase, why they're asking for a rate increase.
Thank you. And our group health outlays are also below budget. Running rate is about 1.1 million, the budget is 1.2 million.
But that's for the health insurance?
Yes,
I don't know the reason for it. I can only surmise that our rates are gonna go up. That's my guess, but I don't know. I don't have any documentation to back that up. That's just a guess.
Only thing that changed was a health reimbursement account. So that's what the town had, that we went through to save money on the premiums.
Oh, okay.
And basically, so less people use the health insurance, the more we save essentially. So
Thank you. Yeah. So employees agree for the healthcare? Yes. I could tell you exactly how it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we did when originally, when I was here.
There's a whole thing.
That's part of what's missing in the narrative in this whole personnel department is like. You guess that information about the mod rate on workers' comp and the participation rate on the health insurance is. We pay for single and any family is, paid by the employee. That information is not in here. It's kind of like, we're right out in left field, don't know what we're doing.
It's
Can't make any recommendations if we don't.
worse than that, but anyways, we'll see. Kind of shows ones for the employee.
Where are you looking?
Page
Oh, I
18.
see, yeah, but we're jumping ahead, let's not look at about. Workers' comp.
Right, we're on my first one. So on the workers' comp, just to make sure have everything written down that I need to have written down. What is our mod rate? How many claims annually over the last 3 years? And why is this, why is there a rate increase being asked? Have I covered? Oh, yes, and shape, sorry, it's in big letters right here. Shape program help lower mod rate or claims being processed, question mark. Okay.
We're paying for that shit.
Ah,
That's part of it.
I'm gonna amend my motion to. To make the workers' comp 170,000, because it's looking like it's gonna be about 150 for this year. And then I figured a little bit of a buffer just in case, because. Never know what could happen, but
For how much, sir?
170,000.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? 0. 0059 unemployment compensation, department request $1,000. Make a motion for department request 1,000. Discussion?
It's all self-managed. Everyone's the state not involved.
The state is involved in a fashion, we apply to the state for unemployment and then they decide, but we end up paying the premium because we're self-insured. It shouldn't be self-managed, it's self-insured.
Well, you end up paying that for unemployment.
Yes, we actually pay what is.
So you put that money in the reserve account then?
Well, that was the next question. Is there a reserve account for unemployment, compensation that's been, not being paid over the years? And if so, what is that balance? Because if we are self-insured, we should be banking this money for hard times, when we do actually lay people off.
Right. So.
That's just happened in the first time ever, somebody won unemployment. And the weirdest thing was, you got 2 other jobs, and you got approval for unemployment for a year. If you can come back to my unemployment, even though after he decided to drop those other 2 jobs.
Well, see, that's part of being self-managed in the town. Somebody has to manage that unemployment claim. Like if you know somebody's applied for unemployment, which the creditor receives reports, they have to determine whether they've seen somebody working somewhere else or.
Weird, the state knew it was allowed. It was very odd. I thought once you went to another job, it did. No, not now. Now they apply for a certain amount of time. It's different now. Very weird. Yeah.
I ran into that before.
I'm just looking in the revenue section, the last page is trust and reserve accounts, really significant, I don't see, unemployment.
Oh, I don't think that's all of their trust accounts. I think that's the only account that they're going to take money out of for this year or adding in past. They have a lot more. They really have a budget. Maybe the only one that's been happy here to get money out of it, out on the budget. You know, if you get, you're gonna get the person probably have to revert it.
Yeah, that's definitely. All in favor? Zero. There's just a four, so security like the $369,760.
Yeah, the line rate this year for social security is about $130,000. That's two questions. We're way over budget on that item. I don't expect you to play, but I'm very curious as to why it's so far over.
So for fiscal year 26, we're over budget, you know what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Probably has to do with the wages being over budget.
Why are the wages, yes, why are the wages over budget?
Yeah, we have. But
It's-
this is a spreadsheet. Here.
Yeah.
So she's not picking up all the wages under this total wage number.
Mm.
She's definitely-
Right.
Which is why you shouldn't be doing stuff from a spreadsheet, it should be in a
Yeah, it should
program.
be a program, but. Well.
Yeah, but
I
then
just said, if
one
you're
person like looks at this,
in one of the departments, then can throw the whole thing on.
So there's really nothing for us to do here except ask.
Ask the
them to double-
question,
Ask
yeah.
the question.
Yeah, and, you know. Should we adjust fiscal year 27 to reflect?
Right.
What actually happened this year?
Actually, somebody could go back and look at all the wage lines and see if they equal 4,833,000. Because if they don't, that's part of your problem. And, and you took your numbers off these pages here?
Took the 369, 760. Times social security budget number.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
not
well,
provide
you
some
have
number.
to do that, 'cause that's right there.
Yeah, but I didn't find it for, I had to come up with.
Yeah. But I'm wondering if there are some missing lines in each of these departments that equal that 4,830.
I'm gonna do it.
Really, we're gonna look at them, do that. Okay,
I mean, it is only 10 to 8, so I mean, we're ahead, right? So what, I don't know, I'm asking, we are, right? Okay, good.
So, you ready to approve this?
no, we haven't done anything yet, we're just talking about it.
I'm sorry. I'm a comedian in my head. It doesn't always come out that way.
It is fun.
Will you be the only one laughing?
Yeah. I'm laughing, my wife shaking her head.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, just. See if you're gonna make a motion for 369, 760, but double check. What happened last year, if that was gonna be over, and then maybe not. Having the grand total for total wages correct, so.
I think we should have more than 430,000, that's what we're funding now, I would think.
You would think so.
That's what we're.
You're still doing it, right? Not really.
The running rate for this year seems to have the payroll is on the order of 5.6. So
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking is that there's missing lines in this wage number.
That's part of it.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's about 300,000, right? You said 5.1 million?
That's a number.
Yeah.
it's 15%.
Yeah, so it would certainly change the 369, but we don't know that until he's. Yeah, he's still a second. But actually, we're not gonna be done after debt service, because we need to look at revenues, because I think there was some good questions in revenues that we need to.
Good, good address.
contact the town manager.
right this second, bouncing is about all you can get till like you get to know it a little bit better, but. Next year, I feel certain I'll have better answers.
Hope so.
Yeah, so do I, believe me.
If I can make a recommendation,
Yes,
when you sit down with your comment next year, watch the video of what we went through this year.
okay,
And how helping you address some of the hot points.
Yes, sir.
I think with 4-6, will be 642, 46.
Really? That's lower. Okay, so,
Very good, I like that, I did frown on a few of them to, on that to.
right, well, we got a motion on the floor, and maybe. That's everything. Okay. We're gonna fund this line, social security, with 369,760, but have the manager check to make sure that this 4.833 years old wages is actually the correct total wages. Yeah, all wages, wherever it is. Because it might not include the tip budget wages either, so,
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Uh,
but yeah,
Because, because then you add another 300,000,
yeah.
well, I mean, I know Steve is, he's a contract, I believe.
Yeah.
But, Ruth is not.
Right, there are wages in the tip.
And so security budget, because it's-
I know they budgeted for it, but with the total wages right here, 4.8 million, including the wages that are being paid out of tip.
should know.
Right, that's what I'm thinking, is it doesn't include the tip. wages.
I think that's goes back to what Bill got when he was on the same thing. No, close to $5 million.
Yeah.
It's close to it.
Motion is there out there. All those in favor? Group health, 0061, Department of West, $1,176,476.
Okay, so I think this spreadsheet is incorrect because I believe the employee pays the family's portion of the plan. Unless things have changed dramatically,
well, I think they probably have, I mean, dramatically from when, from last year?
no, from when I worked there,
Wait, how many years ago was that?
14.
Then I would venture, and I'm not being smart, I would venture a guess, things have dramatically changed. I mean, trying to keep up with it on a year-to-year basis with our employees was a nightmare in of itself, because things were changing all the time.
But the town would not offer a benefit without getting something back from the employee.
Probably we went to the HR, HRA there.
The only thing I can tell you right this second that I know for sure, because it was a conversation I was in on today. With any of this health insurance is if an employee works for the town. Who opts to not take the health insurance because they're covered by their spouse or whatever. The town pays them half of what it would cost. If they were involved in the insurance program, so we're actually, which
That's the payout amount, that's the cash payout.
that's what this, okay, I did not know what that line was for, but yeah. So that's the only part of the insurance that I'm familiar with right this second.
But I can't believe that the town would pay for the employee plus the employee's family. When I worked here, you paid for the employees at 100%, and the family plan was paid by the employee.
Okay,
So there should be an employee contribution on this side of the equation.
let me write that down. But I don't know how that works. Would that be the same even with the unions?
I'm guessing unless they gave up something else to get that benefit, but
Okay.
yeah, you'd have.
18,411 per,
Excuse me?
$18,411 per person. For that $1.17 million. Divide that by the 64 people.
How did you get 64 people?
I counted every person. On the side of this, it's got every full-time people at 80 hours.
I see.
So that's how you get this average of 140 per person. Average salary. And then you can see the whole.
And the other thing is this MetaVision. That is like something new. What is that?
It's the health reimbursement. So,
That is what?
the health reimbursement, so. So like, you know, you go. What we had before was basically a full plan, so basically you signed up for health insurance. You're no deductible, everything's covered. Pay nothing out of pocket. So to save money because those plans were very expensive. We went to one where, you know, if you go to the doctor at about $170. We paid $27. So I don't know. How, like, how much we did, like. I could tell you because it was so long ago, but
Wow. Yikes.
It's at 18 grand. Perfect.
How did you get this far? This is so.
if we would have kept the old plan, so.
Well, no, I understand why you got rid of the plan that was, it was the Cadillac plan, it's all plan.
Yeah.
Because as an employee, you didn't pay any help.
But in order to like, you have to do something that's, the unions are gonna agree to, otherwise, you know, things that, so. We have to do something that's gonna. Decrease.
But what did you get in return? From the
Not paying
employee?
Cadillac plans and paying another $1 million. Oh, so,
I would have asked for something like that you give up 2 of your holidays or something. To me, that. You're giving away the farm and you're not getting anything in return. That's not negotiation, that's giving away the farm.
they didn't have to change plans.
Okay, so, I guess my question is this accurate that the employee contribution is 0? And so the town, again, the town should be filled in with 929,569. To show if that's correct.
Where's the 925, whatever you just said, what line?
The top 929,569, that's the total for the health insurance. If that isn't truly
Oh, the first line,
paid
okay.
by the town entirely, that column should be also filled in under town of Lincoln.
I think it's, the dash is, when you do 0, then the spreadsheet gives you that. I don't think it's 0 on my spreadsheet.
I understand, but
So
you
I think
can't have nobody be paid.
nobody's contributing.
Well, I understand, but the town, the column says town of Lincoln, so that's our share of this plan. So if it is truly all paid by the town of Lincoln, that 929,569 should be reflected in that column of the town of Lincoln. You see what I mean?
So it's your-
That's a clear indication as well as the town pays everything.
That's it, here's why. That's up
Right.
to the other town as well as under department.
Right. Right.
You know, the bottom one.
And that's the same with the cash payout. I'm guessing that 102 is paid for by the town, so that should be reflected in that column under town of Lincoln. And I don't know about the life insurance, I imagine. I don't know who pays that again, whether it's employee paid or not. And so under the 7,000 for the admin fee for the MetaVision, that's paid by the town, but the 50,000 deductible, that's gonna be paid by the town, right?
What the town pays for.
Right, so that 50,000 should be reflected under the column under town of Lincoln.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is-
So,
Wow,
so total of 1.176 is all that.
that's the way it looks right now, I mean. That's ridiculous.
Well, I wouldn't disagree.
That's why we're 96% out of it, 21. But we
I
decided
can't
not to
believe
look
we
at
gave
cost.
this much stuff away, this is,
This is better than anybody in private sector.
oh, for sure.
100%.
Wow.
Better than some of the other. Like federal government doesn't do that. Postal employee, you only get the employee share and that's it. If you want a family plan, you pay that.
50% some of the other towns do it, but, really, every town goes back. I don't think they get away from.
Yeah. And we just gave them another holiday, we just gave them Juneteenth and Labor Day, and what did you get in return for that? Okay. Well, my program.
It'll go on my ever-growing list.
Well, you don't be reporting back to us because we're all done tonight, but
Right.
at some point in the future, it should be reflected here on the new document that you're gonna give the council.
I suspect that next year you're gonna be like, didn't I ask you to look into that? So I'm gonna make sure, at some point between now and next year, I get answer to these questions. I got you. Oh.
And we can't change it, it's all part of the contract. So.
Well, I understand, but it would be nice to understand it fully as to what is the town paying here.
Everything. All I know, before Obamacare, was paying $147 a month, family for $10,000 a month. After Obamacare, it's $1,940-something a month for the same family for $10,000. That's government help. That's why you don't want every government to help.
And that's not
Oh,
what-
I should be totally fair, Obamacare is the one annual $150 free doctor's checkup. Yeah. But $10,000 doctor's checkup. So $10,000, they were both $10,000. That's like the worst. Oh, yeah, that's the worst one. That was a high, very considered a high drop. The pledges of the towns is, you know, 2,500 for the individual, 5,000 for family. And I'm assuming it's coming from the municipal. So.
Say it again?
2,500 deductible for individual, 5,000 for family. I don't know what the employees pay. I can tell you that. So, pay like weekly, but.
There was good, insurance on the FY 26 for. The numbers were grossly under. If you project that out for 12 months, it's going to be 76,000, which is the million two, which is what the budget.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that, I was so long.
My guess is without seeing it in your, thinking that also, people aren't using the insurance that. And not having, like, the position aren't building up with,
Right, the positions aren't filled and they're not paying. How many times has that happened? But, you know, if we don't have a motion in here,
I'll make most of the Department of Rest.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, so I think it'd be to recommend that they look at the. That's fine.
look how much is paid by the town and is paid by the state.
If they want to go out and look at the insurance.
Yeah,
All those in favor? 0097 wage adjustment, non-union and part-time air wage increase. And then, I don't know if they're still doing there. 47, department price 47,638.
I make a motion to zero.
Yeah, FY 26, that is still very.
I don't think it's allocated it correctly. I think those wage adjustments are charged to the department rather than this line.
Can't be how it is this year or last year. How it was always done was. The numbers in here do not reflect, the numbers in wages do not reflect any increases. Any increases happening from this line item. And then when you got your next year's budget. That number reflected the increases that happened.
But what I'm saying is to why this is still zero for FY 26 is because whatever wage increase they received July 1, 2025 is being charged to the departments rather than to this line.
Any other discussion?
I would just like to, I would wanna make sure that, you know, for. It's always been my opinion, whatever we're gonna be doing, to get done, so. I wanna make sure they're doing something, whether it's again. Some type of increase or merit, doesn't matter to me how it's done, but it's something to be. Something to be given,
I think they're giving it in one up above on the good count.
all those in favor? Opposed? I'm 0069 retirement, employee share of. Retirement, Department of Press. $377,057. Right. I'll make a motion for George.
I have a question.
Yes.
Again, the fiscal year 26 running rate significantly above budget. The back of the section, you can note that retiring is funded with proceeds received from the main PERS investments. Towards, for banking, we know that. The dividends or the gain on the main PERS investment is entirely allocated to the retirement.
So. When they take the money from the main PERS at the end of the year, that's the. This is of items that it's paying for, so they take. $350,000 out of main PERS, like at the. End of the beginning of the fiscal year or whenever they do it. That's what the money is. Allocated to, that's coming from that.
It's
It's not just for the overall budget, they think.
for clarity. I mean, if this is an investment account, the percent change year to year almost certainly varies greatly. For some years you get a lot, some years you get
Some of
a little.
yeah,
Some, yeah.
I don't know what we. Haven't know what the October was the. No,
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I know that they'll give just before the budget. Tony Jessup will let us know what,
well,
how much you can take, how much is recommended to take. Hopefully the recommendation is followed. It's my editorial comment.
Thank you.
Well, if you look at the, revenue, what they projected to take out of main PERS is 90,000, which is not even anywhere near what it's gonna cost us. Whole time.
I was, I'm hoping that's concerned. Up higher than that, but we've also, spent on that, but.
Right.
That's sometimes.
So the principal may not be high enough to get that much money. But
It's in the million.
And they've not yet dipped into principal. They've held the line just to take the interest.
but maybe one year they took a lot of interest, and that's why only 90 is not efficient.
Someone had said that the Lincoln Lakes Innovation Corp is taking full money. Because. That true or? They have blind.
Well, they came out of main PERS, but their seed money was 1 million.
That's what was allocated on the first.
President sitting next to you.
Okay, was it a million? Because it's supposed to be a lot of credit, so it wasn't. Yeah, so as you needed money, you could.
So is anybody watching your books?
I don't think I've seen it.
Do employees contribute to this? Retirement? They do?
Yeah.
Are they required
Yeah,
to contribute to matching?
The RFMA program is matching up to a certain percentage, from what I understood, up to 6%. The employee can pay more if they want more than 6, but the employer only pays 6.
Yeah, right now, it's
Main PERS is an actuarial report, so you have no control over how much you contributed by the town. That's an actuarial report that comes to the town and you can say, you will pay this.
they're getting 3.8%, which is very high. the second contribution.
They have quite a great plan in doing first, effective fire and police, they're under a special plan that they can retire after 20 years. And get full benefit. Yeah, there's a lot of things that kind of shoot right over, because I didn't know that the $1 million was something that you bought. I knew about it, but I didn't purchase, you guys should be out to the cooperative town, so that's town money to spend it.
That's not the standard sort of building.
I understand, but
It's
they're gonna help you.
critical. I think it's really important.
Yeah.
Or it could be tied up in the backlog of audits too.
Well, I'm sure. But we're also what, working on 22, 23.
22. Huh?
On request, we could have brought us the spreadsheet showing having done.
Shouldn't that be something that goes to the council every month? I mean, that's something that. Something that should be paying attention to.
Well, she includes it in her report, the ins and outs.
In the monthly report?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's in there, but it's primarily grant. So she reports on all the grants.
So the report that she gives in the monthly report only gives like a total grant and whether it's closed or not, doesn't say anything about what's been expended, what.
No, it doesn't show the cash flow, you're correct.
And then just better, we have mostly $1 million minor federal school for the entire grant, and then it's the net, like, you got a 10% match, that's what the money's for. It's not just a.
Didn't they give money to bio or something, 250,000, did you want to give them something? Instead of, so, or whatever.
Those are engineering. Yeah. Those are things.
What was it doing?
From the town, from different states.
The town got a grant and used that money for that, for the station. I didn't know that.
You're gonna move down here, one?
We have a motion and a second. And you done?
Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? And one. 0123, Dave Dillon, monthly from request, $6,619. I need a motion.
Second.
Second, any discussion?
I have a question.
Yeah.
You're on line item 0123,
Yes.
and you said it's 6,619?
609.
Okay, I thought I heard 19. I would, maybe I had the wrong sheet again. Sorry.
I'm going back to 300.
I hear you.
You also include that if this is not used, it's gonna be carried into a reserve, because this is something new this year. And we shouldn't have to fund this. If nobody used it.
No, they're
They used it last year.
not sure, yeah, they've actually used more than a few companies.
Well, this is just the leg in the door to get it figured.
It wasn't open last year, it started May 1st of this year.
Right, but they had the companies and entities had to pay starting a year prior
The fund.
to fund it. That was a big,
January of last year was when all companies had to start, being into that, well, employees, but
That's the government helping you. The inflation is very high.
Nobody knows how this is this paid leave, what does this, where does this money stand and land?
I don't know, but it's mandated
you're not,
to collect it, so I don't
you're not gonna be
know.
able to put it in your own undesignated fund. It's gonna be this specifically.
Reporting to the town, where it's going, how does that get reported?
It's a good question.
Well, this is going to be used all like maternity leave, and while with some maternity leave for this program. And the paid election.
Well, I understand what the program does, I just wanna know,
From what I understand, the town pays to the state. So the state mandates that we pay
that 3% goes.
Right.
The employee pays half, the town pays half, that goes to the state,
right,
so it's held at the state level.
right. But how do we know that we, as the town entity, and 6,643.53,
I'll
do we have reports from the state?
I'm not trying to, so I can't answer that question. I'm just saying.
Tell us.
Yeah, that's where it goes.
It's like another 941, when you pay 941, you pay this family, just a different government agency. But every quarter we do 941, this is done.
Okay. So it's a certain percentage of your gross wages.
Yeah, 1.5.
But my concern is where are they showing me that 10 employees in the town have used it?
They'll have to. You apply to the state, and the state decides who's gonna use it.
Yeah.
When you have that HR department, they do all your, the treasurer did, but if they're, doing all your expense requests and stuff.
Right.
They would know that person's applying for it. You have to, but whatever the person pays, no consequence to that, so we just pay this money.
It would show up in the state. Somebody very
Very simple.
There's less than 15 employees when we pay the employee. The employer doesn't pay. But what's really bad about this one, in a small company, like mine, all of a sudden 3 people decide to do line, my goodness. It could destroy a company. And there was nothing in there about that.
No,
Check the company, believe it's a micro company. So, that's just.
What they, what's that in LA, is it 15 employees?
Well, 15 employees is where, the employer has to start taking in, 1.5% too. Below that, it's just the employee needs that thing.
I thought it was like, if you had under 15 employees, then they didn't, if you had under that, then they don't qualify as there. If you don't have to, they don't qualify.
No, this is the state level, this is state level, well, yeah, this is, no, we pay family leave. Small companies, so every, one.
You should have like just personally, but if someone qualified for FMLA,
Yeah.
they get it. Just now they're getting paid.
Yeah,
instead of
no,
having
it's 3 people this summer all of a sudden decided to go do it. You think of to do it, they just 20 miles of the company. Take a third of the workforce.
But they could do it before, they didn't get paid for it.
Oh, that's right, they could all do it, well, if somebody goes away from 3 months, that's.
But if they're sick in the hospital, with cancer, or they take FMLA.
No, think about me. They. You get a cash off to you. Just because you want. We got. So anyway, we treat people like they treat.
we started that out this morning, beginning at 6 o'clock.
We have a motion, was there a second?
Yes, they do.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
George.
Yep.
And I suggest we return to 0016 workers' comp. At the very top of page 89, with workers' compensation. We will see an increase this year due to claims filed. We have typically underestimated our payroll and receive a large bill after the workers' comp audit. What gets my attention is the town typically underestimates the payroll, which was a possibility we came up with when discussing some item here. Oh yeah, total wages on page 87. We figured the total wages were on the order of 5.6 million rather than 4.8 million. So that supports the comment at the very top of page 89. So maybe we should consider approving the
department request of $231,000.
I'll make a motion to.
You're amending your amended.
Or a motion to get rid of the $170,000 we voted for and make it the $231,000.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Rebecca, 231. Did we make amendment earlier to the check for workers' comp rates?
Yeah, we did. To get the mod rate on the thing that the state program had, that's not part of it.
We did that.
All right,
The four, total wages are pretty much.
page 93 for debt service. Let's do all these together, all three lines, 0305, 0426, 0400. For department request of the 0305, department request is 10,063. I'll make a motion for 10,063.
You're gonna make a motion for all of them?
I was gonna do a little bit separate. So. Give a second. All right, all those in favor? 0426, department request $63.76. I'll make a motion for department request. Discussion. All those in favor? And 0400, department request $195,489. Make motion for department request. Discussion. All in favor? And they.
Page 92, it has the state evaluation. of 246 billion dollars. On page 92. Right in the middle, it says 2025 state evaluation. That $642 billion. Is that what our town is valued at? Yeah. It's actually. What?
Million.
Really? Is that million? Oh,
Take out the zero at the end.
okay.
Million.
Yeah. I thought there was a gold mine somewhere. Yeah.
So, George, we didn't do all of the capital budgets during each of the departmental. We want to just review those to make sure we voted on all of them, or do you want to just not bother?
Let's go line by line and we'll do these. So page 94, 0121 CK voting equipment, department request $500.
Again, why is this in capital? It's under 1,000. Shouldn't even be in capital, it should be in the operating budget, whatever, I'm gonna vote zero.
Well, I'll make a motion for the department request.
Oh, stop. Need a second.
I motion that for like a second.
Okay, I'll go back to mine, zero.
Got a motion?
Yes, it is.
I thought the motion was 0.
That's what I said.
No, first of all.
It was, but he didn't let me get in second, so he just made his own
You
motion.
just vote, you gotta say it.
Okay, I made a motion for zero. Steve, did you second that? Okay.
All right, discussion? All those in favor? 10-0. 0110 computer, department request $6,000.
So to divide 6,000 by 4, there. That's would be what we're funding.
Because that's. Depends what they get for computer, but it's kind of low right now. Computer prices are absolutely insane.
Yeah, but under FY 27, it's 4. Right? Am I reading that right?
Yeah, 4 and then 6 and 28 and 7.
Yeah, I don't think they update these notes much.
Typically, the way you should be doing it is replacing them all once, because you can get 5 to 6 years out of them, and then you would budget in year 4, 5, 6 to,
X number of dollars for each year, and it's this constant amount, but
because you, if you buy in 60, 45 computers, you get a better deal than you would if you buy 40, you're paying full price, 45, you're paying 30%.
I realize I should know the answer to this question, but I'm curious. So. In your second column where it says total, that's what they're asking for each department, the total from. Fiscal year 27 to fiscal year 30, am I reading that
no,
accurately?
it's saying the total is, each department, like town manager has 2 computers. Communications has 2 computers, public works has 3 computers. And then the years are when they're gonna be replaced.
Gotcha, thank you for the clarification, that was really.
Whether the note down below, it shows 60.
Yeah, I don't know, like I said, I don't think they update the notes, or something's wrong somewhere.
Yeah, there's a number on somewhere.
Did anybody do the math? Do we actually have 45 or 60?
Oh, I don't know.
Probably one more than last year.
That 45 is.
There is 45, yeah, but down like they said in the notes, it says we have 60, but we're close to 60. Why does 45 would be close to 60?
Take it off in the primary request.
Thank you, George.
All those in favor? And 0114 assessing revaluation, department request $50,000.
It's because it's a reserve account, so they're saving up to pay for it, supposedly.
Something that's hard. Like in.
It should, this is one that probably should be in operating rather than whatever. Should be in the contraction services, but it's not.
There's an old note though.
Yeah, that's definitely no.
Cause it says, because she wanted to start it in like 2028, 2027, and it's already started,
Yeah, this year.
supposedly.
Has that firm started working?
Isn't it what they said the other day? That they can come?
For the rebound?
Right.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know who was here last night or listened last night,
Right.
if it was recorded or broadcasted. I misspoke.
Oh,
I was told, I thought what I heard was they had started. Everything is there. I mean, everything's approved, ready to go. The company is still finishing up their backlog. They are going to be starting as soon as possible. So I was wrong. They did not already begin the evaluations, but they are ready to go. We're ready for them to go as soon as they have the manpower.
When will that be?
That's a really good question. I don't know. When they're not backlogged, I guess. And that's because I asked that today. I said, did I speak about something last night? And apparently I did, so. I got clarification on it today.
Well,
We're
we
just waiting on
can
that.
When, because
Yeah, what do you-
he's knocking on my door, because other people calmly.
Right, now we brought this last night as well, about, about trying to get the word out there that they will be knocking on doors.
Yeah.
B, it was strongly encouraged to let them come in, because if you don't, they're gonna put evaluation that may be inaccurate for your
Right.
meeting. So, and again, there was a lot of discussion about, well, they shouldn't be allowed to, blah, blah, blah. I get that, I'm not a fan of it, but according to Denton, our code enforcement officer, said if you don't let them come in and look inside the house, then they can just make up what they think you have in there and put their valuation based on it.
They don't schedule a time with the homeowner?
What was talking about was people knocking on doors, so I'm not saying they don't, please don't say I said that. That's just,
You're being recorded.
I know I am. That's just my understanding right this second.
From our understanding, when we were first looking at this, they will go door to door, but then if they come up with a, like, if you're not there and they come up with a valuation, you will have a period to set you come in to each of them. and kind of go-
Right, kind of go, yes,
They will give you a chance to, if they say your house is valued at $1 million and it's only 200,000, you'll get a notice and then you can come in. and-
but apparently Milo was not real receptive to people knocking on their doors. This is according to Denton, or the code enforcement officer who lives in Milo. And he said that people were being charged more than what they should have been because they wouldn't let the auditors.
Well, is it my understanding that the town has paid them an amount already to start?
Yeah.
And
I believe it's all, yeah, everything's all ready to go.
And if we sign,
Whether one's changed hands or not, I just know that it's ready to go.
well, if we have paid them and there's a contract signed that says X is the start date. And they're not starting,
I can look for that contract. I have not
There-
seen the contract, so.
I would think you would look at the contract to see, first of all, if we paid them any money. And whether the contract, if there is a start date, if there isn't, or there should be, but if there isn't, then I guess there's nothing you can do, but. If there is a start date and they haven't started, I would think there'd be some repercussions.
So they're supposed to start last September.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then it was supposed to be early spring, well, we're skidding by that,
Yeah,
and then now we still don't have a start date.
yeah, that's my understanding right as of today. That we don't have a firm date of when they're gonna start.
But we pay them money.
I believe.
Well, I don't, again, I don't know that, I haven't been here for that part, so I haven't seen it. I'd have to look and see. if we have.
right, it's kind of an installment deal. They didn't
Right.
get the whole thing, they got a fee to start, and then as
Okay.
it progressed, they would be paid.
Right,
But if we paid them some money, I would think that the contract has been signed and somewhere in the contract, there should be some timetable that.
with penalties if they don't begin on time.
That's if they. Contract to.
Right, that's assuming, correct.
They're planning tax, like going after the ones that they know weren't in the books, or they just turn in one corner and just going. You know, doing their.
How the company's gonna do it, I don't have a clue.
Again, that should be part of the contract somehow. I don't, seems like,
I would assume they have a system in place if they're a company that's used to doing this, so they might, I would think you go by grids, right? You put it in a grid form and you would go,
If they know there's a bunch of missing ones. Satellite imagery, and figure out what's been done in these last
Right.
years and go focus on those first. If we told them to do that. it's
So-
Missing that.
the thing about, now I don't know all the details on it, Denton did talk about satellite imagery and that it is not up to date in this area is what he said, because we're so rural. Talking about Google and these places that constantly update.
Yeah, you pay them to get the digital.
I got you. So that's what you're saying, get them to come up and do the digital.
No, it's done automatically, it's done all the time.
Google does it
But-
all.
You just.
I'm just telling you what I was told sometime in the last few days, that up here, because we're so rural, it is not as accurate as it is in other places, the digital imagery that you're talking about. So I don't know how far behind. I don't know if it's a year behind,
When
2
we
years.
did all the plans, we flew it with planes, and they did it with planes with the photography, is getting on the plane. And then you can get contoured and everything, but
Okay,
everything's on satellite. That's not even done, anymore.
right.
They'll fly over.
But I will,
Anyway, they can pay for that. I'm just wondering what the strategy is.
yeah,
If here's, well, it might be they're just starting in one house and going house to house, then it's gonna be harder, longer to find.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's easier to start in visual photography, go after those and then get all the others.
I think so on the ponds first, I believe, but during COVID. I mean, they just exploded.
Yeah, that was a lot of that.
it's outside our brief, but I recently looked into acquiring images from Google year by year. And you can buy them, it's very affordable.
Okay, all right. Maybe he was misinformed and I was just going by what he had said this week.
and forget that. I'm pretty sure Google Earth and Google Maps updates the images for this area probably twice in 2 years.
Twice every 3 years, okay.
And they're about 2 years old.
They're about 2 years old right now.
If you go in on a computer, I'll tell you the date.
Okay,
And you can go backdate to look backdate. Right.
And that would be helpful with these properties that haven't been updated and they may have been done 2 or 3 years ago to get that.
And I think you can, it's. One can buy software that will actually overlay 1 year and down
Okay,
another year, and reveal. New structures or changes.
okay.
We have a second?
We don't even have a motion.
I mean, that.
Oh, you did, I'm sorry.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? And then last item is
We did already public work, and we did transfer station.
898,
Yeah, yeah.
dam repair. So we already.
Oh, we did, right?
We did that.
Okay.
And then we did library. The 0500 dam repair permit request, $10,000. Make a motion for the front request.
Again, there's some money in TIP for being reserved.
We talked about that last night, the gentleman that owns the land abutting the little boat landing on Stump Pond has offered to give the town an acre of land if they would fix the boat landing. Sometime, I believe at the next council meeting, there's gonna be a resolution. Get that done, that'd be kind of a staging area when they fix the dam. But
Yeah, I think we have time to go over revenue again, so just look out for that.
All in favor? What did you vote?
Revenue.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, the revenues are historically lower than they should be. Like, for instance, the admin miscellaneous, they're already collecting as of March 13,000, and we're still only increasing the revenue for FY 27 by 1,000. I think we should, increase that to like 7,500. It will help offset taxes. If we're getting more revenue, we don't want to dump it into UDF. We want to help offset the tax rate. So I would think that should be at least 7,500, if not a little bit higher. Again, we don't have any historical data, but that would be my recommendation for that one. And the APD snow ledge, again, is historically lower than normal, and I think that should be closer to 3,000 for FY 27.
this 88 for you, you got 52, 51, shouldn't it just be what the actual profit is?
What page you on?
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
What's that around?
that's okay.
I mean, 40.
It's okay. I think everything else looks really good there.
Yeah, I was in the airport, you were on. You got 52 for fuel.
Yeah.
And now the. This is revenue, actually, this is the profit. Or it's total.
Total revenue that they're gonna collect. Not the profit, no, because they have an expense on one side, they're gonna show the revenue on this side, so hopefully it's
51 on that side. 52.
right. Well, supposedly it's $1 a gallon more than they're paying, so it should be a little bit higher, right? They're collecting
Yeah.
at least $1.
It's 1,000.
Yeah,
So, it's massive.
and I would I would question how they come up with the hangar rental fees, because the collection rate seems a bit low for some reason, I'm not sure where they're getting.
Well, that's what we're talking about, very cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than renting a local.
Right. I think they should increase that, as the budget goes up each year, the paying the rental fees should go up.
Like I said, before the one that they bought the hangers for whatever, like, I don't know what the agreement is, but I know it's something.
Always,
Yeah.
there's always an agreement somewhere, right?
That's their own, that's my own.
But so 2,400 for the all 24 animals.
That's gotta be ridiculous.
The town now owns a 3.3 acres with a 24 hangars on. Yeah. That was in the Lincoln Pilots Association. And they did the airstrip changed the FAA, so the town had to own that. So that was the deal for the town to get that land. But for them to agree to give it up, they wanted the same price basically they've been paying for $100 a month. Yeah, that's stupid price, but they're paying as well. It's something that we're talking about.
Under the roadside leases, we've got biofine lease option, again, we just signed a new lease for them, was that reflective of this number?
It may well be, that was another new question, because the lease is based on going to the school.
Right. Right, this is supposed to start immediately, I thought, so that revenue should probably be increased.
Oh, sure, everybody.
Oh, 61 bucks. The bottom one.
No, I think. As I recall, I was at the meeting, I don't remember exactly what the contract is. It's in the TIF budget, I think.
So your question was, should that be increased? Is that just your question?
Phase 2 of the biofine lease supposedly. I'm not sure.
Good.
And as I recall, when we talked to Ivan last night about transfer station fees, we wasn't sure that we were collecting for refrigerant removal. Because I had asked that, where's that revenue going? And he wasn't sure, and is it part of this transfer station recycling number? Yeah, we're paying to get rid of it, but I thought in the fee structure that's under the schedule of fees, that there is a fee for somebody bringing in a refrigerator.
There's supposed to be, go ahead.
I think he said it's $15 a unit, and we pay $8, correct? That match everybody else's report?
So is that number where we're collecting that $15 included in the 22,500 fee? Because it's not singled out anywhere as a refrigerant fee.
Just so I can be on the right page. What page are you on? I must have missed something.
The transfer
I went too
station.
far. Thank you. Okay, so.
Is that including the refrigerant fees? And shouldn't we should supposedly are now gonna have to pay for the passenger tire fees, shouldn't we increase the fees? We're anticipating to receive for tire fees. And are we going to change that on schedule of fees going forward?
Oh, transfer station, anyway, read all the backup material, so last helping me. What they were recommending for, if they were gonna take over the transfer station was, they're gonna accept waste from anybody. And then they'll take the transfer station. And then Lansing will get reimbursed.
So you was telling me today that, Windsor, you pull in with the truck and you get weighed, like if you bring in a load in, and you get weighed going in, you get weighed going out. And you have to pay per load.
Yeah,
So who's gonna pay us for the capital that we've already invested in the transfer station?
I think that is work. Again, obviously they don't have anything in place because this was just what they were offering to begin with, but basically we've given them all the.
No, we,
They're not set up to haul the way we do it. They don't have trucks. I guess there's something, I guess it's special because of the way it compacts it, so the way that trailer goes, but must hook up a little differently is, again, this is just, as I'm listening to these guys talk, I know very little about this stuff, but the representative for the company that was up the other day, they would be using their own trucks, which means if we get to the point where they take over, they won't be using the hopper anymore. They're gonna have a place where they have an open dumpster and put it in because they're not set up to be able to haul the trailers that the trash compacts into. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but that's my best understanding from the conversation the other day. So somebody had asked, maybe it was from this committee the other day, or maybe it's somebody else who asked, I can't remember now, about them hauling it, and that's an issue with us having them haul it. Right now is they can't haul our trailers and we're not set up for them to use their open trailers to put in. We have no place for the trailer to be down low enough for stuff to be put into. I already know your opinion.
Well, open trailer, I don't see how they can fund it. The transportation will go.
That that's what I was wondering, but that again, unless I've missed something huge in this conversation, that's my best understanding right now. Right. Yeah, we haven't gone to the second part. We've only done the first part. We're hauling to their facility. That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, so I just told them what they put in the back of the drill, and the thing that stood out to me was. At the transfer station, they accept all third party trash, laying down, no one but trash.
Right, that because they would rent that facility from us, they'd be paying us for the rent. And we would still get the discount on our stuff, and so there were supposed to be multiple areas where we'd be saving money if it went that far. As I'm understanding it so far.
not, not, they ruined building there.
I understand that, yes. I will tell you that was something that one of the council members raised when we met with a representative the other day. Was we need to have a plan in place in case this doesn't work out and we take it back. Because we don't want to get into it and not have a plan.
My recommend, again, just being as a recommendation to look at would be, they have a 30-year bond to cover, like, because if the state's already said, if the bridge gets filled up, they're gonna come back and tax all the towns. And if they decide, hey, you paid too little for this, for dumping it for the bridge, we come back and get you for everything you dump there.
Holy cow,
So
that's interesting.
it should be a bond to cover anything that happens.
Right, if they're using our equipment, they're using our building, there should be some sort of bond set aside for cases of where they damage something and we have to take it back over. It's just not. So that you can go after their insurance company for any damages or whatever to the building.
Again, their proposal as it stood last time was it's all their stuff. So,
Yeah. There's no reason.
but again, like I said, none of that's been negotiated, so that was just their. proposal.
the other issue is you've got burn, a lot of building the burn, we're going to sort of stop. Focusing charging the tonnage.
Right, instead of burning it, I'm gonna take care of the end, like, this is a higher expense.
Then we have the services that we take a lot of glass there and chip that up. Compost is being made well.
How they have to do that?
So your understanding is if an outside company takes it over, the composting wouldn't be there anymore? Is that what you were just talking about?
Well, they're just interested in something trash and taking it.
Okay.
So
They have to be licensed to be a transfer station. You just can't take over. That'd be licensed.
They must have something because he said that they're just taking over. I hope we get the name of the town right.
The license, but each transfer.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, so I didn't say it was gonna happen tomorrow or it's going to happen at all, but I get what you're saying, but they're in the process of taking over. I want to say it's Jay, don't hold it somewhere out that way, but I think it was Jay where they're taking over their Transfer station there. I hope I got the town right, because it's gonna come back to bite me, but I think that's what it said.
Again, with regards to EMS revenue and entire things, those should be updated with new contracts that you're working on with Chester and everyone. I would counties, but those are really wrong.
Yeah, the EMS and fire fees, yes.
Yeah, I already asked them about the bike line, see if we could. That's gonna be dangerous.
All right, I'm gonna ask one question before you dismiss. Who's been here at every meeting? Are we giving more on this? Anybody got a book I can borrow for about one day? Just curious. I don't have all the stuff from the first couple of meetings.
When you have the minutes,
So today I started, I took your minutes back on the very first meeting, okay, so which was the town manager section, correct? And so my very first question. And I couldn't figure out what I needed to do based on the minutes. So I thought it might be easier if I asked for a book, and that may be way out of line, I don't know. Town manager, we want to hear.
we never vote on wages, so if your answer is, you have nothing under line, we never have anything under any of the wages in the departments in our minutes.
Yes, it was the very first line, so that's what we did. Okay,
So
that explains it. Okay, all right, that explains it.
should be something in each of the,
I have all of your minutes printed out.
okay.
I have this book of notes I have made once I finally figured out what I was supposed to be doing. But I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, well, I don't want to, I don't know what's acceptable or not, so I'm just throwing that out there. But I know on Tuesday, that's okay. I just know on Tuesday is the first public workshop, so I've got to get everything in because we don't have a treasurer. So I got to get everything in up and ready by Tuesday. And I just want to make sure I have all the information. So tomorrow at whatever time, I'm like, oh crap, I don't have this number and I don't know who to contact for it. So I thought if somebody had a completed book.
Check for someone, so he can help you.
Well, I hate to bother anybody on the weekend, that's all.
I don't think that. I usually.
Yeah.
I got some of those.
So if you feel like I can use, are you sure?
You might find some other notes that you don't read, like.
I promise you, all I'm gonna look at is what was approved. Cause either that or I'm gonna watch 3 hours of each budget meeting until I can figure out what it is, so. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Javed, I appreciate it.
Like typically there's a treasurer and a clerk here, you guys can make recommendations. In the government, but
All right.
you know, the treasurer-
Nobody was
No.
taking notes.
Last year, when we ended, the group, we simply asked that next year, we would have a much better format, look at each 2 years, maybe 5 years. That didn't happen. I never made a plan first. For next year.
Yeah,
You did a great job.
they should all be on one document, you shouldn't have to put them in pages. And then you define the program for all of that. Yeah, for this stuff, they have, like you said, what they're doing with spreadsheets. I use spreadsheets, there is error, that if you have a program that's set up, do I think there's a 3-hour budget number.
There is a budget program, I'm not familiar how to use it. I thought I needed access to it to get this all set up. So I finally got access yesterday. And that was when it was told to me, no, we have Excel spreadsheets for that. So it is in there, but I don't know how to use it yet. So hopefully maybe this next year I'll be able to figure that out and.
Yeah, it looks at your current budget in the fiscal year, and then it brings everything over to the budget, and then you plug in what you want for the next year, and then it'll just keep historically adding to that.
Okay. So that would be, it seems to me that'd be a great feature that we should be making use of. So, I am a fan of
Hire an intern as enter the historical data as well.
true. We want really. That's a good point.
But because there's, haven't been using that budget program, somebody would have to physically enter the information to get the disclosure.
But it doesn't show the. His name, or somebody who's. Yeah. That's only one of these, like, 13, they're making this.